On the other side, Paul Rhodes said this is the best team he has seen in this conference in his 7 years in the Big 12. They're really deep and they're really talented up front, and to me, that's what sets them apart.
Now, you were on SportsCenter earlier today with Linda Cohn, and she said it perfectly. The offensive numbers for Baylor are obscene. They are just off the charts in every big statistical category for Art Briles, and they're going to start with the football. Chris Platt from a couple of yards deep brings it out. And the offense will start inside their own 30-yard line. And we take a look at a quarterback that is as cool a customer as there is in college football in Seth Russell.
He's tough. He's waited his turn, and I love what Art has done here within his program. He's sitting young guys. Remember, Bryce Petty had to sit and watch RG3 and the rest of the crew ahead of him. This kid's got a chance to watch some guys that are now playing in the NFL. He's unwavering. What you will see today is in the face of blitz, he does not flinch. He's tremendously accurate down the field, and he can run it as good as anybody here since RG3.
Goes after his favorite target on first down and has the ball knocked down at the line. Corey Coleman was the intended receiver, but Jay Jones, the nickel corner, was able to get his hands on the football. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for a Baylor Bear team, Brock, that has scored 60 in 5 straight games.
Amazing.
Play action for Russell on 2nd down. It'll be 3rd down and 10 unless a flag is thrown, and it is. Brian Peavy was all over Jay Lee, and it looks like the flag is going to cost Iowa State.
And that's going to be a hold and a grab right there.
Pass interference, defense, number 10. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Pretty clear here from Peavy, the leading tackler on the Cyclone team. You just can't reach and grab. And the minute those hands get extended and you impede the wide receiver, penalty flag's coming.
Play action again. As Russell, he wants a bomb, throws it into man coverage. Intended for KD Cannon. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, how about this? How about you come out right away in the middle of a rainstorm, 9.5 inches, as you said, of rain in the last 24 hours, and instead of running it, and you're the 2nd best run team in college football, you're saying the heck with it. I don't care what the conditions are. We're going to continue to sling the ball all over the field. Big reason why. That mindset and just that conviction and aggressiveness, why they're the best offense in the history of college football at this juncture halfway through.
Quarterback draw. Russell can run. This time he gets bottled up. And here are the must moments in this game today for the Iowa State defense. Damon Tucker makes the stop. You got him backed up now, 3rd down and 13. And we talked to Paul Rhodes and their defensive coordinator, Wally Burnham. They have to get off the field.
Stops. 18 possessions, and you have got to find a way to get some stops if you're going to keep them under 50 points today.
Russell over the middle, and it is a first down hook up to the toughest guy on this football team, according to all of his teammates. Corey Coleman brought down by Levi Peters, but that's a 15-yard gain on 3rd and 13.
And really good on 3rd down. There's not a stat that you're going to find on the sheet where they're not dominant this year. Over 50% on 3rd down. It really doesn't matter down in distance as well. Even when it's 3rd and 10 plus, you play coverage, you drop 8 into coverage. You got a very difficult time stopping the breadth and depth of this receiving core.
Due to an equipment violation.
Looks like Corey Coleman's belt came loose, or at least the hand warmer, so he has to leave the field for one play after coming up with the 3rd down conversion. Davion Hall takes his place. Another play action fake. Pass right down the hash marks for another first down. Jay Lee running it deep in for 13 yards.
Lots of zone coverage here. Offensive coordinator Kendall Briles was curious exactly how Iowa State was going to play. Well, they're trying the best they can to keep everything in front of them.
That ball bobbled and dropped. Davion Hall couldn't hold on to it. So now it will be 2nd down and 10.
And if it feels fast, it should. One play every 17 seconds in the first half on the season. By far the fastest tempo team in college football.
Slant, almost intercepted. Oh, that was read by Nigel Tribune. And if he picks that ball off, he scores.
He has to. He has to make this play. If you're going to keep this thing close and competitive, and a wonderful job in that zone coverage of looking at it. And he's seeing everything in front of him. And that is a costly mistake and miss from Tribune. Should be 7 the other way for the Cyclones.
Another 3rd down and 10. Play action again for Russell. He's looking for the end zone for Coleman. He's got it. That's It's a Baylor touchdown.
I said he's unflinching, Bob. He just should have thrown a pick six, and he knew that he got away with it. He stared down that slant route, and he threw it right to the DB. And does he care? Does it affect his next snap? By no means, because he knows when he puts it to number one, it's his ball or nobody's ball. 17th touchdown pass and reception on the season now for Corey Coleman. Ridiculous.
Yep. Brock Wally Burnham, the defensive coordinator for Iowa State, put numbers on it. He said if we can get 4 3-and-outs, 4 punts, a couple of takeaways, we'll have a chance to stay in the game. They had a chance on that opening drive defensively to do all 3 of those things and did none of them.
And failed. Unflinching.
Standard start for Baylor. There it is, the national championship trophy presented by Dr. Pepper. It is here. Iowa State taking on number 2 Baylor. And will the Bears get a chance to show why they belong in the college football playoff picture? Well, they are in that picture right now. Number 2 in America and number 1 across the board in every conceivable statistical category. And Brock off to a great start. 8-play touchdown drive to begin. So Iowa State's first chance with the football. Short kick at about the 6-yard line. It's Jamal Wilkes. Lost it. He was blown up at the 24. There's a scramble for the football, and who has it? Looked like Ishmael Zamora knocked it free, but somehow at the bottom of the pile, it is found by Iowa State. So Iowa State avoids disaster, and they get their offense the ball for the first time at their own 24-yard line. And here's Sam Richardson, the 5th-year senior, who's closing in on 1,000 career passing attempts. 51 pass attempts today, and he would hit 1,000 for his career, so he has played a lot of football. And they'll start with the read option. Richardson stiff arms and gets knocked out of bounds for no gain by Xavier Howard. Let's go down to Shannon.
Hey, Bob, you know, the good news is the Lightning is supposed to stay away for the entire game. However, this rain that's coming down right now is expected to stay. Both of these teams, they're not used to playing in poor weather. I did speak with Paul Rhodes. He said they did some wet football drills this week to prepare. Art Briles told me this morning he doesn't know what to expect. Based on that first drive, things look pretty good offensively, but he said that they would just adjust. It's all just keeping these guys comfortable. Extra socks, extra jerseys, and gloves for the receivers.
2nd down and 10. And a little comeback route thrown to the sideline to Quentin Bundridge. But, Brock, to your point, Baylor comes out. They throw the ball on 7 of their first 8 plays. It's almost like Art Briles' attitude for his whole football team continues to how they approach today. They don't care. Let's just act like it's not raining.
Have you seen a more laid-back warm-up ever in all your years of doing this professionally and collegiately? Because I haven't. That's right. It's an attitude that has tremendous confidence and conviction in what they do, but they're going to have as much fun as possible doing it.
3rd down for Iowa State, trying to keep the drive alive. And on the ground, they will keep the drive alive with the player that has injected a lot of life into their offense. Mike Warren, a redshirt freshman, has turned their rushing attack around since being inserted as the number 1 running back 4 games ago.
Over 450 yards on offense in the last 4 games, over 200 yards rushing average in all of those. He's got over 200 in 1 game against Texas Tech. And he's a difference maker. He's a redshirt freshman that's going to be around a long time in Ames, Iowa, and be very productive in his career.
Here he is again. Into the heart of that Baylor defense. And the heart of that Baylor defense today is missing maybe the heart. Andrew Billings not playing today at defensive tackle. And he is a difference maker on the Baylor side of the football.
He's their best defender. And while Sean Oakman's going to get a lot of the hype and attention because he's 6'8" and looks like Adonis, it is Andrew Billings that is their best defender and their impactful player. And you're right, he's battling an ankle injury, was questionable, doubtful, and he is out today.
You saw 96 Byron Bonds, who gets the start today in place of Billings. Losing the football on the run is Warren. And this time it is recovered by Baylor. Chance Waz comes up with the fumble recovery. But check that, Trayvon Blanchard has the football. And a costly turnover just as we're singing Mike Warren's praises. He coughs it up.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez made that one famous. He runs right into the backside of Brock Daigle right here, the left tackle, and you could see right there just the lack of ball security, holding that ball high and tight to his frame. He's got an opening. He's got some green grass. He's going to push the ball on the other side of the 50. But like a lot of young freshmen, the attention to detail on every single play gets away from Warren. And in so doing, puts the ball right into the hands of the most lethal offense in football.
First carry for Shock Linwood. And he picks up 1.5 yards. And that is the 23rd consecutive game now that Baylor's defense has at least one takeaway.
Well, do you give that to them or the backside of Daigle?
Well, it's the longest active streak in FBS.
You'll take it any way you get it?
You have to have at least a few that just bounce your way to have a streak like that, and they did. There's a deflected pass, and Seth Russell lets it drop for an incompletion. It'll be 3rd down and 9 as Dale Pearson got his hands up, knocked it down.
Well, here you go. Here's another one of those situations. You had 3rd and 13 on the last drive, 3rd and 10 on the touchdown pass, 3rd and 9. It was a lot of zone and soft zone. Are you going to heat it up and try to get the ball out of the hands of the quarterback on another 3rd and extra long? It looks like, well, at least pre-snap, content to play some zone coverage.
2 receivers stacked to either side. Draw play, and that is beaten in the backfield by Pearson. Well, Dale Pearson wasn't fooled. And there is a punt upcoming for Baylor, one of the 4 that Wally Burnham said we have to generate today.
It's a really nice play. Watch Pearson on the edge. He's their leading sacker, actually number 10 in college football with 6.5 sacks. But if you're going to impact plays in the backfield, you cannot have any wasted movement right there. Good job by Pearson to read the pulling tackle. He chases him right down the line of scrimmage and forces a rarity. Just now, the 13th punt in the entire season for Drew Galitz.
The fewest punts in FBS for Baylor this year. And he barely gets it away. They don't get a chance to practice it much. And it will take a Baylor hop down inside the 20-yard line, and it's touched up by the Bears at the 16. 39-yard punt, but a stop for Iowa State. 7-0 Baylor lead.
Who does this kind of thing online?
I clicked on some links. The kids weren't even at home.
He's on in case the Brazos River makes its way into McLean Stadium. So field position not on Iowa State's side, but what a great job by their defense to force the 3 and out after the fumble. And they go right back to the ground. Joshua Thomas stood up at the line, no gain, and our first opportunity to say hi to Zubin Mehenti.
Bob, thank you. Taco Bell studio update. Clemson in Coral Gables. Deshaun Watson swinging it out to Jordan Leggett. That'll be his 5th straight game with a touchdown. Tigers on the board early. It's on ABC. Back to you at McLean Stadium.
All right, Zubin on the board early. Baylor. They've got the 7-0 lead. Here's Sam Richardson from a solid pocket. Throws it up the sideline. And it should have been intercepted. Xavier Howard tipped it. And Orion Stewart had a chance on the carom.
Yeah, that was a really poor throw there from Sam. That's a deep out. You're just seeing some real soft zone coverage here from Baylor. And now we've seen 2 corners show the country why they play corner and not wide receiver.
3rd down and 10 for the 5th-year senior. He's number 2 in Iowa State history in touchdown passes, number 3 in completions, and he needs one here. Did Baylor tip their hand and show blitz with 5 on the play clock?
And they just checked out of it.
And now whistles will stop play. A timeout was called. So Iowa State may have called that timeout from the sideline. And we are in a brand new stadium, and it is a beautiful stadium. Just under $300 million it took to build McLean Stadium, and this is a look at our winning traditions. Driven by Goodyear, Baylor has yet to be beaten in this stadium, dating back to when it opened last season, and their average margin of victory nearly 34 points a win.
Reminds me of a couple of my favorites in college football. The one I played in on Lake Washington up in Seattle. Neyland Stadium there in Knoxville, right on the river as well. One of 3 stadiums that you can actually get to in some degree, some manner, over the water, and they love it here. They've been undefeated, as you mentioned. This is as good as it gets for Baylor Bear. Highest ranking in the history of the program. You are rolling, and I really do believe, as I've studied this team this week, they've busted some of my perceptions. I think they've got the most legitimate shot they have ever had because of their strength on this D-line and this O-line. And they get Billings back and healthy, and they're going to need him down the stretch. I expect to see the Bears in the playoffs.
A check down on 3rd and 9. And not a lot there for Jawan Wesley. So it will be a punt for Iowa State. Now, if Baylor is going to accomplish what Art Briles believes they are capable of, the gauntlet of their schedule is still out in front of them.
Oh, it sure is. And you've gotten a chance to be fresh, the freshest team in college football, as he said, because most games have been decided this season by the 3rd quarter. Some of these absolutely will not. But his track record's been pretty good, scoring a lot of points. And as I said, when you've got a front 4 of seniors that they've got defensively, 4 seniors on your offensive line, that will be the determining factor for me.
Colin Downing may have had that punt deflected. It takes an Iowa State roll to midfield. Trayvon Blanchard got in and got a hand on the football. And it will finally roll dead at about the 44-yard line of the Bears. So it turns into a 36-yard punt. But it could have been a disaster for Iowa State as Blanchard got in.
Probably no surprise. We've seen a couple punts here today. Punt protection and punt in general. That's probably where the biggest effect comes with this weather. And it has been raining relentlessly for the last 24 hours. Nice job there by Trayvon to get his hand on the ball. But the specialists, you know, there's no winds, there's no lightning. You can play through some of those conditions.
If the fullback looks big, it's because he is. Although they'll take a shot on 1st down looking for Corey Coleman. It's incomplete. For the first time, we see Laquan McGowan in the backfield as Seth Russell has to pick himself up off the turf, and down on that turf is Shannon.
Yeah, Bob, that's exactly what this Iowa State defense wanted to do. They wanted to try to rattle Seth Russell. I talked to some of the defensive players this week. I just heard the defensive line coach tell these guys, look, we got to stop. We've got our hands on some of the footballs, made some tips. We have to lead the charge.
They're doing a good job. Some movement, and that time Darius White just beats the left tackle Colbert, the right tackle, excuse me, clean. They've stunted into some of their looks into that QB draw. They had the right call at the right time. You have seen Pearson fundamentally play well. Group up front doing a nice job so far.
Now they'll try and run behind McGowan. Getting to the edge is Shaq Linwood. Breaking tackles. And that's an easy 1st down for Baylor. Down to about the 37 of Iowa State.
And watch McGowan at 420 pounds displace his defender. He doesn't always run around him, and oftentimes once you put on tape that you can run through guys, you see Jones make a business decision and run around. That's as good as a decleater.
Little read option, and Russell on the keeper. He's down the sideline. Seth Russell cruises into the end zone with another Baylor touchdown.
You miss one tackle. This is a numbers game within this scheme. It's what Art loves to do. He loves to pressure and burden your defense. And put, you know, you hear this assignment football. I got running back. I got quarterback. Yeah, Willie Harvey, middle linebacker. You're the one I want. You have got the quarterback. And when he is more athletic than you and he can juke you and leave you in the dust, you've got a lot of problems over the course of 60 minutes.
Yeah, that was something you talked about that you noticed on film. You think about this high-powered offense, they must account for everyone. But they actually have a couple of guys on every play they don't even bother accounting for, but you have to make the play if you're that guy.
Well, we've learned
it's in there.
Are you buying what Briles was selling? In 35 years, we're going to see a lot of 400-pounders. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. I can't. Maybe we are, and statistically, he's probably right, because 30 years ago, you didn't see the number of 300-pounders you do everywhere. But he's convinced they're just 35 years ahead of the curve.
Jamal Wiltz fumbled on his first kickoff return attempt and got out across the 35-yard line and lost it again. Nair saying down by contact. So it is a 34-yard return, and let's check in with Zubin.
Bob, thanks. Taco Bell studio update. We all know about Houston's prolific offense. What about their defense? Taking on UCF, Justin Holman, Cam Stewart ripped out by Brandon Wilson, who's going to take it the other way. 80 yards for Tom Herman's team in Orlando. We're tied at 7. It's on ESPN News. Bob, Brock, back to you.
Takeaways. Now, how often college football games especially turn on takeaways? And now we've got Joel Lanning in at quarterback, a quarterback switch for Iowa State as the redshirt sophomore that probably has more physical gifts than Sam Richardson. And he's in there now and throws that one sideways. Did that ball go sideways or backwards and out of bounds, which would be about an 8 to 10 yard loss? That's what they'll say. That was a live ball all the way back to the 27-yard line with K.J. Smith pressuring Lanning.
You may have more physical gifts, but if your linemen whiff and you've got a bear in your lap, it doesn't matter how strong your arm is or how much you can run. This was playing. They told us he was going to play in the first quarter. I think that's right. I think that was a lateral. This is not a benching of Sam Richardson. This is a planned opportunity for Lanning to get in there and show off some of his skill set, but he needs help up front to get it done.
And now 2nd and 19. He'll run here into the arms of Grant Campbell. Fought his way for 3. So it will be 3rd down and 16 coming for Iowa State.
Tough to run is Sean Oakman, and I understand it, but that's the one thing that big fella can do at 6'9" and 270 as he's listed. And they try to run a little quarterback power right at him. He swallows left tackle, left guard, leaves his buddies free to make a play behind him. And this is the kind of defense that Coach Bennett wants to see. Right, Phil Bennett, longtime D coordinator, knows that his job is not to hold teams under 20 points, but it's to get stops, and this could be a 3rd already here in the first quarter of play, plus a critical takeaway they got.
A tough spot for Sam Richardson. Put back in at quarterback for 3rd and 16. And Oakman got through on the rush. Incomplete. Richardson dodged Sean Oakman, but couldn't find Carson Epps. And it's a 3 and out going backwards for the Cyclones.
Well, that's what the scouts want to see. That's back-to-back really good snaps. More importantly, that's what the D coordinator and staff at Baylor want to see. They want to see Sean Oakman cut it loose to take his game to the next level. He did it in the run game on the power, and that time a beautiful inside swim move to get in the backfield and force the punt.
This time Baylor sets up a return. Links Hawthorne, though, on a short kick, calls for a fair catch at his own 37-yard line. So great field position for the Bears. And tonight at 8 on ABC, Saturday Night Football, presented by Walmart. #1 Ohio State heads to the banks of the Raritan to take on Rutgers. J.T. Barrett taking over for Ohio State. It's Ohio State-Rutgers at 8 on ABC, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. And we check today's primetime spotlight, brought to you by U.S. Navy. And Brock, this is the move at quarterback that you and many others said that Urban Meyer should have made weeks ago, if not at the start of the season.
I think most of us, that played the position, just know that he's got more tools, and that offense just not firing on all cylinders with Cardell in.
Seth Russell and his offense firing on all cylinders as he overthrows K.D. Cannon. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
We've seen a couple of those now, and he usually does a really good job on those deep shots of giving his guys an opportunity. You saw it on his touchdown pass to Coleman. Not many overthrows. He typically, when he misses, maybe a little bit short, he let his athletic guys go get it. That time, 2nd time now in the game, a vast overthrow.
Wide open on an easy pitch and catch is Platt, and he picks up 9 for a Baylor offense. And there are many numbers with this group that jump off the page. They average nearly 0.8 of a point per play run in every game. You gotta wrap your head around that number for a moment. And they'll pick up a 1st down here straight up the middle with Shock Linwood.
Well, what I love the most, and I hope I can express this throughout the 60 minutes of this game, and why I think they are a legitimate title contender, is they don't have any weakness. Because of their group up front and their 4 senior and their All-American left tackle, it affords them vast opportunities to do even more within this system.
Corey Coleman gets to the edge. Tackled out of bounds after picking up 8.
And what Coach Arbauer said about his son, the play caller, is that he is more flamboyant than maybe anybody here in Waco the last 7 years. And it's because of that group up front. He allows him more personnel groupings, right? More formations. Corey Coleman in the backfield, more opportunities to expand, but it starts up front.
Russell finds Platt all the way down to the 11-yard line.
I mean, this is 7-on-7. If you look at the pocket, it's 5 yards. There's nobody even breathing on Seth Russell on the majority of these 28 touchdown passes this season. It's they exhaust you, they beat you up, and they take your will away. And most times they do it before halftime.
Coleman's in the slot left. He's the favorite target. Russell buying time, extending the play.
Got him.
Wide open is Coleman in the end zone. Russell finally pitches it. Coleman catches it. That's another Baylor touchdown. There's a flag down right in the middle of the field at the 6-yard line.
An eligible lineman downfield, number 69 of the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay first down.
About 3 yards. That's the kind of gratitude and grace you're going to give you. Maybe 3.5. Once you start cheating more than 3.5 yards down the field, as Pat Colbert did there, that umpire taught very clearly to take a look around. When that quarterback throws it, that time Colbert caught. And unfortunately for Coleman, takes his 18th touchdown reception off the board.
Easy bounce to the outside. No one home for Iowa State. And into the end zone goes Shock Linwood from 17 yards away. There are times where they look like they've got 12 on the field and the defense looks like they've got 7. (21-0 Baylor). As easy as could be, Corey Coleman or Shock Linwood. They were both man for man out on the edge. Shot knowing that should they fail on first down, they can just score a touchdown on second down.
You just can't get right defensively. And I was somewhat joking with Paul Rhodes, head coach over there at Iowa State. His goal was to keep it under 50. And I said, did you realize what you just said? Keep it under 50? But when you're playing a group that just presses you in every single way, you're lost. There's not an X's and O's. And I'll say it again, it starts up front for me. It's what busted my perception about this Baylor team. And take a look at the combo blocks. These two, okay, have got a combo to the backer. This center's got to own the tackle, and then you're going to run power and block the edge. This is perfection. This is teaching tape. This is a hat on a hat, and it's over. And whether it's quarterback, running back, receiver, when you get a one-on-one, there are few in this kind of space that they create that are going to make the tackle. And 63 points a game, 720 yards, pretty indicative of it. But their time is now, because these are 4 seniors who are going to graduate up front. And a bunch of them are going to play in the NFL. So your time to do it, if you're Art Briles, and he knows it, is this season.
Isn't the same true of their defensive line? Richardson sails it up over the head of Quentin Bundridge. This is a team that is dominant and also senior-laden on both sides of the line. Something we'll talk about more after we check in with Zubin.
Bob, Al Golden still looking for his first win over a top 10 team at Miami. Deshaun Watson wants to make sure that's not today. Look at this 63-yard scamper doing what he does best. Wayne Gallman would punch it in from 5 yards out. 14-0 Tigers in South Florida. Back to you.
Well, Zubin, Clemson off to basically the same start that Baylor is off to as the number 2 team in FBS in the AP poll. There's a handoff to Mike Warren.
But the difference between a Clemson team is they don't have the line. I mean, Dabo would swap lines immediately. And defensive lines, and it's maybe hard for others to believe, are probably close, and maybe a tip of the hand to Baylor. When they've got Andrew Billings inside and Sean Oakman and Jamal Palmer who blows that play up. Bo Blackshear, their 5th-year senior. This is the best front 4 that Phil Bennett has had in his time in Waco, the best offensive line Art Briles has had. And I just can't say it enough. They realize their goal. They bring a national championship home based on the line of scrimmage this season, and the story's all told.
Blitz is coming. Wobbly pass on 3rd down, up the sideline, incomplete. Richardson got laid out just as he released the football. And instead of getting it to the sideline to Dondre Daly, it wobbled and flew right up the hash mark.
Not an all-out cover 0 blitz that Phil loves to do, just bringing Tavon off the edge. He's unblocked, he's unaccounted for, and that is yet another stop. 4 drives for the Cyclones, 4 defensive stops, including 1 takeaway, playing right to the script both offensively and defensively.
Iowa State with 4 possessions now. This is their 3rd punt to go along with a fumble. Hawthorne makes the first man miss, but then gets swallowed up at the 32-yard line. Well, tonight on ESPN, we've got another great matchup. College football primetime presented by Hilton takes us to the SEC. Number 15 A&M heading to Oxford to take on the 24th ranked Rebels at 7. And then at 10:30, we're in Palo Alto as number 10 Stanford wants to keep it rolling. They haven't lost since opening day. They'll take on the Huskies. Both games are on ESPN and also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
A big night tonight for Chad Kelly just to settle down. When he is consistent, this offense rolls. Remember, he was the difference maker in Tuscaloosa. Way too much variance in his game for a Rebels team that has matched his play of being up and down.
This play blown dead before it starts. Be a false start called against Baylor.
False start. Offense number 9. Not all 11 players were set. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, Art wanted to see just how his team could come out in these conditions. This is a good challenge. I think when you're a title contender and you know it, you want a little adversity every once in a while. They're going to get more adversity on the field personnel-wise against other groups. But on a day that it couldn't be more drenched, over the last 24 hours, nearly 10 inches of rain have fallen here in Waco, and it has not slowed the Bears down a bit.
Russell under pressure and throws it away. As he takes a hit, Vernell Trent came through and forced him to toss it out of bounds. It seemed like Seth Russell and Art Briles are both complaining that there was a whistle blown. And let's listen in and see if we hear one.
Yeah, there was, and you could see the linemen react to that. Art's absolutely right, and you could hear quarterback and head coach say, hey, come on a second here. Okay, we don't like to give a play away. What did you say? Every play scores what on average?
0.8 points per game, basically, per play that Baylor scores. That's a backwards pass. At least it looked. They'll whistle it incomplete, but Iowa State believes that that pass was thrown as a lateral by Seth Russell, and that Baylor should have lost 3 or 4 yards of real estate.
Yeah, it was. He throws this at the 24-yard line, right in between it. He releases it, and that ball does travel.
Almost directly sideways.
Just barely.
So instead of 3rd down and say 16 or 17, it's still 3rd down and 15 for Baylor. Russell steps up, throws on the run. That should have been intercepted. Nigel Tribune had another chance with flags down to pick one off and couldn't do it.
An eligible receiver downfield on the offense, number 4. That receiver was covered up on the line of scrimmage. That penalty will be declined. 4th down.
There's a 3-and-out and a forced punt for the 2nd time here in the first half by the Iowa State defense. Can their offense now do something with the football?
Well, I tell you what, if you're Bill Snyder and you're Bob Stoops and you're Mike Gundy, you're going to be watching this tape in the weeks ahead, and you're going to say, guys, when a ball is thrown to you, you have to be a difference maker. And Seth Russell's thrown some interceptions this year, and he's thrown 2 right at Nigel Tribune here in the first 15 minutes of play. And if you're going to slow down this team, you have to catch and create those takeaways.
2nd punt for Drew Galitz. He has never punted more than 4 times in a game this season. And Trevor Ryan secures it at the 31-yard line, a 43-yard kick from Galitz. So now Iowa State, pretty good field position at their own 30, but down by 3 scores.
And this is probably going to have to be a little bit of Mike Warren. You have tried to, and Mark Mangino enjoyed talking to Mark, and he puts together a pretty good plan. And right now, some of his guys up front are being whipped in one-on-one situations. Sam has missed 2 or 3 throws. In what conditions? It's time to get this guy started.
Well, Mike Warren has averaged 156 yards rushing over the last 4 games since being installed as the starter. And Iowa State as a team is rushing for 220 yards a game in those last 4. Plus, that also keeps Baylor's offense off the field if you can establish some type of running game. And there it is, breaking tackles and picking up 9. That's a good run by the redshirt freshman.
And he's real subtle. And I think his greatest strength and why you've seen the kind of productivity that's already shattered freshman records there in Ames is it's his first little movement. He's going to be a better finisher in his career. Going to run through even more tackles and move some piles by the time it's said and done. but his initial little vision, just that little subtle cut when he gets the ball in the zone read, he's really adept at it.
Second down and a long one, close to 2. Warren again. Just shy of the first down, it seems, so it will be 3rd down and short. He leads all FBS freshmen in rushing, as he's well over 650 yards now on the season.
That was a really good play by Taylor Young. He is the favorite of Phil Bennett. He is not a Smurf. Let me be very clear. He is a great middle linebacker they put on the edge, and right there he just dominated the right tackle.
Third down and 1, and it is a first down as Mike Warren is able to pick up a pair. That was a funny story about Taylor Young, as he was recruited out of DeSoto, Texas by Phil Bennett, the defensive coordinator, but Taylor Young came up to him at a camp, said, "I'm going to play for you someday." And Phil Bennett said, "Well, I called him a Smurf." Said, "I don't usually recruit Smurfs." And he said, "I've had to take that back and apologize because he is a football player." Wide receiver screen, caught by Wesley. 0 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, that's a tough recipe today on a wet day where the ball is going to be just a half tick late getting out there. Sam's going to have to control it, and you give this defensive group undersized. Taylor is undersized. He's not 5'10". Campbell, the other weak side linebacker. Blanchard, they play a lot of nickel defense. Sideline to sideline, what they do best. I think you've got it like your previous 3 plays. Run it right at them.
Bouncing for 3.5 yards is Warren, but it brings up 3rd down and close to 7 for Iowa State. Byron Bonds made the stop. Now Bonds again, the junior, came into today with only 5 tackles on the season, starting in place of Andrew Billings, who was first team All Big 12 last year and is headed to being first team All Big 12 again this year at defensive tackle. But he is out of today's game.
And then heading to the NFL as a junior. I would be pretty surprised based on his tape. As much fun as I've had watching a D tackle in college football as Andrew Billings.
4-man rush. Oakman gets through. Richardson avoids the rush, but a sidearm throw is incomplete for DeVario Montgomery.
Well, that's big time. That's the guy that Phil Bennett wants to see defensively in Sean Oakman. He knows that there is more in the tank for the big fella. He already has Baylor's career record, and we have seen it already on a couple possessions, and yet again forcing another punt, and that was all Sean Oakman. That was dominant stuff there from a guy when that motor and engine revs full speed ahead. He's a difference maker.
The 4th punt and 5 possessions for Colin Downing. Fake! Iowa State with a trick play, and that's exactly what you have to do to steal a possession against Baylor. It was sold perfectly by Colin Downing, and now it's a first down in plus territory for the Cyclones.
That's a great call by Paul Rhodes, and you're absolutely 100% spot on. You can't just keep kicking it and giving it, and it's the timing there. And really good execution from that punt cover team there, and the big fellas, nobody showed it early. The guys start running down the field, and you may want to get down.
But he picked up a first down.
Good call.
So now, across the 50-yard line is Sam Richardson. And that takes us down to the end of the first quarter before Iowa State can snap the football. So all Baylor, but Iowa State maybe breathing a little life back into the game with the fake punt.
Tomcat kills my and Ole Miss tonight at 7 on ESPN.
We return to ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com. All Baylor in the first quarter, 21-0, but Iowa State faking a punt on the last play of the first quarter. They keep their drive alive, and Sam Richardson takes a shot down the sideline. And it's intercepted. Perfect coverage from Xavier Howard. And now he's got blockers setting up a return. And he gives himself up at the 40-yard line. One play after you fake a punt, you turn it over. And is that deflating for Iowa State?
And Howard's having a really good year. His 4th pick now, and he is by far their best cover guy. And I'll tell you what he is I think thankful for and appreciates is his buddy. His best friend on this team is Corey Coleman on the other side, and they do battle in practice just like that in one-on-one situations. That's wonderful awareness. That's finding the eyes of Bundridge there and knowing when the ball is coming, and then actually being a DB that can finish. Because we've seen a bunch of his counterparts today drop those interceptions, and he doesn't.
And the takeaways continue to roll for the Baylor defense. 8 interceptions in Xavier Howard's career now. And that makes every single game this season defensively for Baylor a game where they've taken the ball away at least twice. Quick hitch. KD Cannon breaks a tackle. Muscles his way down the sideline for a big game.
Can't get right. You want to put an extra little nickel back there in between, right? He's walking in between his coverage and the line of scrimmage. Ball's out of his hand. It's in his receiver, who's faster than your defenders. That is my message or motto for this group. You can't get right defensively.
A little stop and go for Corey Coleman. Incomplete. Shot after shot after shot for maybe the most confident offense that we've seen in college football.
They just don't care. I mean, they just I don't care what you do. I don't care what your plan is. I don't care what we're supposed to do and what the book says. We're going to do it our way.
Linwood runs into traffic and picks up a yard or two. And what we just saw on that play, something I know you're going to spotlight later, a good example of how they stay fresh. All those guys on the edge on that last play, they barely moved.
Go to sleep. If you're not involved in the play, I don't need you chasing down the backside safety and being a hero. I need you to go 100 miles an hour when it's called to you. Once again, I don't care what conventional says. You know what? We're going to do it differently than everybody else. And yeah, we've got some fun video to showcase that.
Coleman on third down makes the catch but gets stood up. So now Baylor in a situation where it's 4th down and at least 5.5, close to 6, inside the 30-yard line, and you would think they would go for it. And Art Briles tells his Bears stay out on the field. Now a timeout will be called by Art Briles from the Baylor sideline. So we'll step aside before a 4th down play where Iowa's for an offense that wants to run 100 plays a game. How do you stay fresh?
You go to sleep if you're not involved in it. I mean, you conserve every bit of energy and you stay as fresh as you possibly can. Watch the receivers on the backside. They don't care to really block or go cut or go chase down that safety. And take a look at Corey Coleman. He thought he was grabbed on a double move. He gets back to the line. Is he going to bust? Or is he just going to, let me just chill. I'm good.
Is there any other team in college football that when they've got their receivers uninvolved, and it could be a pass play, I mean, it could be a play going to the other wide receivers, they don't even bluff a move off the line, that they just walk and take themselves out of a play?
I've not watched every tape in college football, but I'd be pretty surprised to find anybody as explicit as these guys are. That's probably the best way I could answer that question. I mean, it is so noticeable to you on tape that, it is their philosophy.
But Seth Russell comes to the line knowing they're going to be, maybe out of 4 receivers, 2 that aren't going to do anything. So he's already operating on a half the field mentality, and they still put 740 yards up per game.
Because those 2 get open. There's very few times that they don't win on the outside.
Well, they have to win now. 4th down and 6 after the Art Briles timeout. They'll run for it with Russell. A cutback by the quarterback. And he runs for a 4th down conversion down to the 14-yard line. A gain of 15. Shock Linwood with a good block.
Yeah, I pointed out the lineman earlier. Look at his buddy here. Look at the redshirt junior running back. He doesn't get it. Does he quit on the play? No. So if you are involved, you're going to go 1,000,000 miles an hour. If you're not, you can take a little break.
Coleman lowers his shoulders inside the 5-yard line. Tribune bumped him out right at the 5. That's a gain of 9.
This is where it is expressed the most clearly, is in the red zone, because it's this guy. And the defense can know it's coming, but he has full arsenal to do whatever he's got to do to get open, that being Corey Coleman.
Shock Linwood, a little jab step in the backfield, picks up a 1st down. So now it's 1st and goal inside the 3. Linwood stood up at about the 2. Levi Peters was the first man there. The former walk-on who was just put on scholarship this year starts at outside linebacker for Iowa State.
That's winning football right there. You want to be championship teams or above 75% scoring touchdowns. Third down, red zone, situational football. There is no phase of the game right now for this Baylor offense that is not operating incredibly efficient levels.
And there's Laquan McGowan in at that H-back spot. The crowd reacts. He tries to pave the way. Russell reaches for the goal line. A second effort down at the 1. It will be third down and goal. Baylor set to go. Quarterback sneak. Moving the pile with a flag down. Was Baylor set, or did they go so quickly they drew a flag?
On Linwood, I think, the running back.
False start. Not all 11 players were set in the backfield prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, third down.
Well, now that changes things. Now you back things up outside the 5-yard line.
Yeah, they try to hustle to the line there, and as a quarterback, you just got to have a little bit of a clock. You can't see what's going on behind you, but you do have to allow Linwood a chance to get set. And he didn't, and that's Tucker, the nose tackle right there. A really important force in the middle of this Iowa State defense. It's got to get bigger and stronger at the point. They switch over to this 3 down front. He's the nose tackle in it, and Paul Rhodes knows through recruiting. He's gone the junior college route this year. DeMond, a junior college transfer. And they've got a few of those kids, but they have got to get bigger and more stout if they're going to stick with this defensive scheme.
Well, he and linebacker Jordan Harris were both JUCO All-Americans playing as teammates a couple of years ago. So that's Vernell Trent in replacing DeMond Tucker, who was the junior college defensive player of the year in 2013. That's a big loss. The interior of that line, at least for now, for Iowa State. So now third down and goal back at the 6. Russell with all day. Easy pitch and catch to Linwood. A Baylor touchdown.
It just looks like 7-on-7 at times, doesn't it? And that's a 3-man rush, and Paul Rhodes knows it. And trying to play a little bit of coverage with the field condensed and get 8 bodies out there to try to get into some of those lanes. And that's not big in the arsenal of the Bears, by the way. And not a lot of catches for these running backs on the season. They don't pitch and catch much to the tight ends or running backs, but when they do, it's typically for touchdowns.
Another touchdown off of a takeaway by the defense. 10 plays, 60 yards, and a Linwood touchdown after the interception. Do a lot of this. Celebrate if you're Baylor. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake back here in Waco, where at least Brock and I are dry. These people, they're not dry, and you can make an argument not well.
Do those float?
They are having some fun.
They just may be prepared if the river comes over its banks. I think those are floaties.
Well, it almost seems like the folks here in Waco, Brock, realize that there's never been a better time to be a Baylor fan. So even if you've got a sideways rainstorm, you only have so many of these Saturdays to come out and watch this team play that they think has a chance not just to be a college football playoff team. They think there's a team that has a chance to play for the whole thing when all is said and done.
You better savor this opportunity. As long as Art Briles is here, you are going to compete for Big 12 titles. His connections, his recruiting, his strength and development program is off the charts. But to legitimately compete with the Ohio States and the Alabamas and all the big boys, you've got to have difference makers up front, and they've got it this year. And you better appreciate this entirety of this group because this senior class is dominant.
Nothing there. Sean Oakman buries Josh Thomas behind the line as we check in with Zubin.
Bob, a pair of SEC teams that have failed to live up to expectations. Small measure of solace for the Hogs. Brandon Allen, Jeremy Sprinkle, wide open. First touchdown of the season for him. It's on the SEC Network. Back to you.
Well, Zubin second down and long now for Iowa State, down by 4 touchdowns. 3-man rush. Long throw outside the numbers for Sam Richardson. Can't find Jawan Wesley. And now it's 3rd down and 13.
Yeah, and if you're not on schedule, if you're Iowa State and you're Mark Mangino, offensive coordinator, it's going to be punt, punt, and punt, punt, punt.
Well, they're also without Alan Lazard, who's arguably their best wide receiver. He has a shoulder injury that he suffered last week against TCU, and as a result, they're playing shorthanded on the road against a team that might win the whole thing.
Keep an eye on Oakman here playing inside.
A stop and go and another interception. Ryan Reed read it perfectly and picks it off near midfield. His 2nd interception this season.
Art Briles said, and defensive coordinator Phil Bennett said, eventually you take teams out of what they want to do. But because of this offense, it really could play into their hands from a totality standpoint, your defensive standpoint, because teams are down and they're looking at the scoreboard and it's 28 and we're going to throw a double move and I've got to do this and I have to. No, you don't. No, you don't, because if you do, then you're going to dig yourself an even further hole. And when this team takes the ball away 3 times against anybody, you really have almost no chance.
Well, they have now forced multiple turnovers in 36 of 39 games with Phil Bennett as the defensive coordinator. Linwood to the 43-yard line for 6.
And I think you're getting real close if you're Iowa State to playing Joel Lanning. That if you're going to, try to do anything offensively when they get the ball back, I wouldn't be surprised to see him, because the turnovers are just killing them.
Pitch and catch to KD Cannon. Stumbles, but picks up a 1st down. Well, I thought the point that you made earlier, and you probably can't drive it home enough, is that if you think that this is a Baylor team that's cut from that same mold as some of the stereotypical quote-unquote Big 12 teams where they just spread you out, as they continue to do, and Russell takes a shot towards the end zone, and that floats incomplete past Jamal Wiltz, that this is a team that if you want to just look at the tackle box offensively and defensively, you'll see something differently, won't you, than what maybe many people that are in the SEC or the Big 10 stereotype.
Oh, for sure.
The Big 12 to be.
For sure, and better than they have been in the previous years. I mean, they've been a product of that they have been so dynamic on the outside, but when push comes to shove, they've not been able to do those 2 things as well. Well, this year they can push and they can shove, and I think they should do this the rest of the afternoon.
Look at Linwood running behind McGowan, close to a 1st down.
I mean, you see the numbers of Seth, and he's struggling in completion percentage, misses a touchdown previously, and look at our 420-pounder.
I mean, that's some athleticism for 410, 420 pounds. He doesn't look like he's carrying a whole heck of a lot of extra weight.
Well,
a drop from Coleman. It'll be 4th down and 1.
so is that where football is going to be in 2035?
Well, and if you're Shock Linwood, you can get lost back there. And here is Linwood spinning for a 1st down on 4th and short. And not only can you not be tackled at times if you're behind Laquan McGowan, you can't be seen. Linwood to the 24-yard line for 3. Shock Linwood leads the Big 12. Yards per attempt, rushing yards per game, rushing touchdowns. But they also have Johnny Jefferson and Terrence Williams both in the top 10 in the Big 12 in rushing as well. So they can wear you down with a bunch of different backs. And here's Jefferson in the game. Instead, it's KD Cannon making a man miss and hurdles his way out of bounds to the 14-yard line. Another Baylor 1st down. A Baylor false start.
False start. Offense number 69. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's the right call there on the right tackle. Yet again, another redshirt senior. It's no surprise when you look at the national champions over the last 4, 5, 10 years. Go back 20 years. They're typically dominated by senior offensive linemen And you're looking right there at 4 of them that have played a lot of ball and grown up an awful lot in Waco.
Here's Johnny Jefferson turning the corner. Gets a block. Out of bounds inside the 10. Good job by Jay Lee to seal the corner and give Jefferson a chance to pick up 5 or 6 extra yards.
And where's Corey Coleman? This is typically that area of the field. At least it was a week ago, 3 different times against West Virginia. He's put in one-on-one situations.
Instead, it's Jefferson up the middle. Let's see where they mark him down. Very close to another first down. Kawan Floyd hit him at the 4, but that is a first down, so it's 1st and goal for Baylor. And here comes Laquan McGowan back in the game again. He lines up on the line of scrimmage this time. Jefferson to the 2.
He is so much fun to watch. Oh, and that is no fun right there for Pierre Aka as he gets landed on, unfortunately, by McCowan. But what a difference maker.
Pierre Aka on the left side of the screen. You can see there's McGowan. That's 410 pounds or more right down on top of Pierre Aka.
And he plays fullback, and he's in their lead in their power game, and that's, you know, he's a converted lineman. He came here, and it was Art Briles' decision to say, you know what, this guy moves well enough, and he's maybe not cracking the field as our left tackle or our right tackle. Let's really create some advantage. I told Pete Carroll yesterday, Pete Carroll's got a 290-pound fullback in Will Tukuafu up there in Seattle. I said, Pete, if you enjoy Will Tukuafu, and I know you do, he's 290. You're going to see 420 at fullback. Even Aka, look at Aka there. He's 290 pounds, and he is swallowed up by Laquan.
And that looks like they'll put McGowan back in the backfield once again. He lines up off the line of scrimmage on 2nd down and goal. Now it's Devin Chafin in as the tailback. He submarines, and he pushes his way into the end zone. That's another Bears touchdown.
And look at the big boy. He's laying on all 3 of them. It's a little power football. And that time, you follow right behind him. And doesn't knock everybody out. A lot of times, he just displaces them. They want no part, and they get out of the way. But follow big number 80, and you could follow the ball. And a pretty good indicator on that drive right there. It doesn't have to just be shots. It doesn't have to be all completions. And it's not been pretty from a pitch and catch efficiency and completion percentage for Russell. When it's time to take the air out of the ball in situational football, we got to just ram it down your throat and run it right at you. They're capable of doing so.
Baylor's right on schedule. For them, ahead of schedule. They've got 303 yards of total offense and 5 touchdowns on the board. Laquan McGowan, that's a weapon down at the goal line. Ouch section. A little bit later on, you'll see the running of the Bears as the student section takes the field, and then they lead the team out of the tunnel and form the alleyway for Baylor to come onto the field here at McLean. It's a fun stadium, and they are having a blast watching their 2nd-ranked Baylor Bears dominate 35-0 to this point, celebrating its 11th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. All-State makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, All-State has contributed millions in scholarship funds.
As you say that, and I look around here, and we're sitting inside a gorgeous stadium, look at where Baylor football has come in the last 10, 15 years.
It's amazing.
I mean, really, 15 years ago, it was not the party, it was not the place to be, it was not the scene that Art Briles and his program has built. And winning begets winning. You find a way to win, you gain that kind of hype and attention. People want to support it, they want to donate. You could build a facility like this, it's second to none. They're rolling.
Here's Joel Lanning in at quarterback, giving it to Warren. He picks up 2. Let's check in with Zubin.
Bob, not quite as artful as Briles, but Clemson and company pouring it out in bunches. Artavis Scott, it's easy. Kaya's been knocked out. We'll talk about that at the half. It's on ABC. Back to you.
Well, that will certainly impact any hope that Miami has of trying to come from behind against a Clemson team that's rolling as well. Little read option. Joshua Thomas close to a first down.
And I think it may also impact Al Golden, who is fighting for his career down there in Miami as well. And this is not a surprise to see landing. This is a move you've got to make. Sam Richardson, the starter, the incumbent, 28 starts, just not sharp in his decision-making, his accuracy, or what day is affecting their pass game. There's no Allen Lazard on the outside with a shoulder injury. So go to the 6'2", 230-pound battering ram and at least afford yourself an opportunity to try to run the ball.
And they'll run it on third down, finding a crease and picking up the first down is Mike Warren. He's got a little something. Warren's a nice-looking back as a redshirt freshman.
He's a whole lot more dynamic than some of the backs they've had the last couple years, and it really isn't a surprise to see their overall offensive execution. Remember, this team has averaged 450. They went up and down the field on TCU, in fact, a week ago. 260 yards, 21 points in the first quarter of that game. And a week later, Baylor is stuffing them.
Warren again for 3 yards before he's driven back. Evion Edwards was there for Baylor.
And I think if you were to ask these Iowa State guys, granted it was a home game against TCU, but you were to ask Iowa State, Paul Rhodes and his staff and these guys out on the field to compare the two teams that everybody's talking about in this conference at the very, very top of it, I don't think there'd be much comparison between the overall level of dominance and execution the Bears have put on display here in the first half.
First down and more. Bouncing it outside is Thomas. He's loose to the 30. Eventually tracked down, but not before he gets to the red zone. So the first serious threat to put points on the board for Iowa State. A long run from Joshua Thomas, who is a true freshman. That's 42 yards.
Nice job there by the Iowa State offensive line, actually getting some push there, looking a little bit like Baylor, getting a hat on a hat. You see one missed tackle. You see a big chunk play down the field. Phil Bennett, you know, defensive coordinator, not necessarily thrilled with this. And a defense that at times can look at that scoreboard and take a little break.
Thomas again to the 6-yard line. Trayvon Blanchard brought him down, but he picked up 7. I'll mark him down at the 7. A keeper, and Joel Lanning inside the 5, and he's got a first down to the 3.
Probably should have been the business plan in many ways to begin this game. Well, you're going to look back at it, and Paul Rhodes is going to say, this has been a tough decision for him. They really do like Lanning. He's not as prepared at the line of scrimmage as Sam is. He doesn't have the wealth of knowledge. He can't get to as many plays. I think there also comes a point where, especially against an opponent like this, even if it's a slimmed-down playbook, play to your strengths, and your strength is your quarterback run and your run game.
It's been all run game on this drive. And walking into the end zone with a touchdown is Joshua Thomas.
Thomas, the ball carrier with the Iowa State touchdown.
8-play drive, all runs, and Iowa State gets on the board.
Makes you feel a little bit better about yourself if you're on that Iowa State sidelines. Gives your defense an opportunity to at least catch their breath a little bit. And as I said, I think in the second half, I don't think you're going to see much more of Sam Richardson. I think it's going to be Joel Lanning's show, and you're going to see a ton of that run.
5th rushing touchdown of the season for the freshman Joshua Thomas. His 42-yard run down inside the 15 set it up, and he capped it.
Who does this kind of thing online?
Of them to get them back out there. We'll see how they respond.
Oh, Shannon, it's a great point. I mean, Brock, if there was ever a time where maybe you want your defense to go show a little pride and get a stop right after the offense puts 7 on the board, now it's your turn.
That's right.
Platt from the 5 to the 25, and let's check in with Zubin.
Bob, coming up on the Lexus halftime report, things are going from bad to worse for Al Golden at Miami. if that's even humanly possible. Plus, it's Tyrone's time in Austin, and the Horns honor one of their all-time greats today before their game with Kansas State, and we get you set for the rest of the Saturday slate. We'll see you on the Lexus Halftime Report in just a bit.
They call it the malaise in Miami, and that might be understating things right now at UM for Al Golden.
And if he loses his quarterback and Kaya knocked out of the game, he's a difference maker, someone they have to have.
Worst field position of the game for Baylor at their own 25-yard line, and Linwood gets them started 6 yards right up the middle. Linwood again. Breaking tackles, picks up a first down. He came into today 8th in America in rushing yards per game at 133.8 yards. Combine that with Corey Coleman, who comes into today number 2 in America in receiving yards per game. That is one heck of a 1-2 punch. And there is Coleman tied up down the sideline with Nigel Tribune, who's had a chance at 2 interceptions and has not done a bad job when he's been locked up with Coleman. But Tribune has not been able to make either, Brock, of the pick opportunities he's had. In Iowa State, they have to make every play like that to get back in the game.
Their margin for error is none today. I mean, they had to play a perfect game, especially defensively, and just have not been able to do so.
Well-timed route to K.D. Cannon, right at the first down marker. Seth Russell was throwing that football just before Cannon came out of his break, and he picks up 9. Third down and 1. Pitch and catch, and it's caught by Cannon and walks for the first down. Should Seth Russell or Corey Coleman or both be legitimate Heisman contenders in your mind?
I think Coleman, because of just the ridiculous numbers, has given himself a chance, and behind the scenes, he's the guy. I mean, you ask any coach here within this program, who's the difference maker? Who's the guy that you want by your side? They're pointing to this guy who can play running back, who can play receiver. I think because his numbers are so off the charts, you get used to seeing those at quarterback. And even though Seth leads the country in efficiency and touchdown passes, total touchdowns, I think when you've got a guy like Coleman that is so distancing himself from the rest of the pack, he probably enters it ahead of Russell.
Here he is again, out of the running back spot, close to a first down. Well, he's already set a Baylor single-season touchdown mark. Only in Game 7, he's got 17 touchdown receptions. Kendall Wright's old mark of 15, that's been broken. And Stedman Bailey, as Russell looks to sneak it for a first down. In 2012, Stedman Bailey set the all-time single-season Big 12 touchdown mark with 25. And Corey Coleman is on his way to blowing past the Big 12 receiving touchdown mark. He stays on his current pace, he'll beat that mark by 10.
And you know, in this system, you're going to get ample opportunity to do so week in and week out.
Russell sidearms one, that's a punt, and it's intercepted at the 10-yard line. Brian Peavy, that's about as easy an interception as he will make. And Seth Russell was hit by Jordan Harris. He's slow to get up.
And we've seen this now a few times from Seth, and I said to you earlier, some of these opponents are going to watch this tape and say to themselves, hey, there's opportunities. A well-timed blitz by Harris there. That is a clean hit right into the rib cage. And that ball, unfortunately, thrown so far inside that he doesn't give his receiver an opportunity to even go fight for it.
Only the 6th interception thrown this season by Russell. But it's a giveaway for Baylor's offense. And now coming off the touchdown. And the last drive, Joel Lanning back out going to work with the long field. On the keeper, Lanning breaks a tackle. He's out close to the 20-yard line. That's close to an Iowa State first down, and it's time for our Aflac trivia question. When was the last time Iowa State beat a top 10 team on the road? We'll have our answer coming up. 2nd down and 1. Joshua Thomas picks up the first down.
And you're just going to have to stick to this business plan. It was all runs on the long touchdown drive from a possession ago, and this is what you're going to have to do. And this, frankly, is what some teams are going to do. Now you're without your best defensive lineman in Andrew Billings on the inside, who has just dominated double teams. But when you match up against some of the big boys, this is where they will test this Baylor defense in the second half of the season.
That's the first pass breaking a run of 10 straight running plays, and Ben Bozen, the tight end, drops the football. So now it's 2nd down and 10, and that stops the clock with 1:32 to go in the first half. Iowa State still with a couple of timeouts, but a lot of real estate to cover, even to get in the field goal range before halftime. They'll run it with Mike Warren, and now they'll have to hurry. They actually won't have to hurry because Art Briles calls a Baylor timeout from the sideline. So Art Briles wants to get the football back for his offense if he can, as we'll step aside for just a moment.
I want to go to Iowa State so I can study human diseases and how to make people healthier. Maybe I'll try photojournalism. Whatever my adventure becomes, it sounds awesome.
Enjoy your adventure at Iowa State. Visit ChooseYourAdventure.net.
We're back with our Aflac trivia question answer. The last time Iowa State beat a top 10 team on the road, well, it's been a while. 1977, they took down Nebraska. They are 0-28-1 against the top 10 away from Ames since. And now it's 3rd down and 8 after the Baylor timeout. Lanning sets the screen up, but it is diagnosed by the Bears. No gain. Tracking it down was K.J. Smith. Read it from his defensive end position. And now with 1:19 to go in the first half, another timeout will be called by Art Briles before 4th down.
And KJ is going to be a guy in the second half of the season that Phil Bennett's going to continue to need and give opportunities with Palmer, the other defensive end. No surprise to see Young get it done and be involved in that tackle as well. That's the kind of defense that Baylor and Phil Bennett want to see played.
We're back in 30 seconds. Their kick. And Lynx Hawthorne tells his teammates get away from a ball that turns into a great roll for Iowa State. Well, Colin Downing kicked it about 35 yards in the air and got close to 20 more yards on the roll for 54 total down to the 23-yard line. That's all well and good. 1:06 to go on the clock for Baylor with no timeouts. But, of course, Brock, this is a team that coming into today had 34 touchdown drives this year that took 2 minutes or less. Number 1 in FBS.
The most compelling stat to you offensively was what, Bob? Is you looked at their whole list of crazy video game stats. Which one stood out to you the most?
Points per play. 0.8 points per play run.
Amazing.
Which is a crazy number. Basically, they line up, they run a play. By the time Seth Russell is calling for the football on the next play, you can add a point to the scoreboard. Russell has all day to throw. Checks it down underneath. That's Gus Penning. And he's close to a 1st down.
And with no timeouts, you're going to see a tremendous sense of urgency. You're also going to see Iowa State do their best to keep everything in front of them. And you can see it. Depth of the safety is a good 15 yards at the snap.
False start. I would think this would be a 10-second runoff that would cost the Bears as well, as they are out of timeouts.
False start. Offense number 61. By rule, there's a 10-second runoff. Please set the game clock to 37 seconds.
That takes it down to 37 with no timeouts for Baylor.
Well, Art's going to have enough pre-snap penalties. He wanted to really avoid any of those mistakes before the snap today. Going to have a chance at halftime to talk through some of those.
Linwood reverses field. Gets to the outside. He's got some blockers setting up a wall. Linwood across the 50. Seth Russell was one of those that were out there paving the way for Shock Linwood. 24 seconds to go in the half. And now Baylor's got the clock stopped and they're across the 50.
There's jump cuts, and then there's jump cuts. I think they're almost content to just run the ball and run the clock out. And then once he does that, sees green grass, other side of the 50, you can see a couple more shots.
He's got room again. Linwood cuts it back. That'll stop the clock. It's another first down. Let's see if Seth Russell wants to run a play or spike the ball. It looks like he's going to run a play as the clock starts again.
Timeout, Iowa State. That's our second timeout of the half. It'll be a 30-second timeout.
Wouldn't think it would be advantageous to call a timeout there if you're Iowa State, but they do. And on this college football Saturday, put one game on the big screen, another on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Use Watch ESPN. Just download the app or go to watchespn.com. I think that's worded wrong. I would say on this college football Saturday, put one game on the big screen, another game on your computer and your tablet and your smartphone. You can get 4 of them going at once. Why stop at just one Watch ESPN game going?
As you're heading up by 35, or are you pulling them all out? You've got your tablet, you got your phone, right? You can be doing the best you can.
There's no way that I would want to do anything to distract my attention fully from spending time with you. So I'm just going to concentrate on this game. But I'm saying when I'm home and I don't have Brock Eward to talk football to my right. Pay no attention to the game that's on my phone, by the way, right now. So with Iowa State helping out Baylor by stopping the clock with 13 seconds to go, that gives the Bears a chance to regroup. And here's Russell for the end zone, looking for Coleman. He just about had it right up against the chalk in the back of the end zone. Would you call that a drop? As it looked like Seth Russell dropped it in perfectly.
Conventional wisdom says you never throw that ball. You've got a safety, and that is a drop, and he doesn't do much of that. That's a beautiful throw. A little bit inside, but still giving Coleman an opportunity. That is a safety that at pre-snap is sitting 18 yards deep. He has his eye on Coleman, and they still find a way to throw it over the top of him.
And now it looks like they're going to try a 50-yard field goal with 5 seconds to go in the half after the officials set the ball ready for play.
We have a difference in the game clocks. The clock at the end of in the end zone is correct at 5 seconds.
So there is 5 seconds up, as you can see on our screen as well. Now Spencer Evans, he is a walk-on. He's the kickoff specialist. Chris Callahan is normally the kicker for Baylor, but Evans has a stronger leg, and Art Briles said if we needed a 60-yarder, that Evans is capable, and he'll try one from 50. A fumbled snap. Cole Edmiston bobbled the snap and turns turtle, and that will take us to halftime. Well, that was a miscue, Brock, at the end of the first half, but it was all Baylor. Their offense was spectacular in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, the rain didn't slow them down. They're on pace to break 60 once again, as they've done 5 consecutive games. Enough to clean up, though, and I'm sure Art's going to have a few words for his Bears in the intermission.
35-7 at the break. Now it's time for Zubin Mehenti, Danny Cadell, Joey Galloway with the Lexus halftime report.
Bob, nothing, not the rain, and certainly not Iowa State can stop Baylor, but in the Cyclones' defense, who's been able to stop the Bears?
In 3 takeaways, you have a chance to just really put away your opponent.
Iowa State starts the third quarter with the football. Jamal Wiltz fumbled his opening kickoff return, coughed up the second one as well, but was ruled down by contact, and then was replaced for the rest of the first half. Well, here he is to start the third quarter, but it bounces through the side of the end zone.
And Iowa State found some success at the end of that second quarter. They inserted Joel Lanning into the lineup. I would expect you're going to see him and Mark Mangino next to him, and a heavy dose of run. He's the future. He's the redshirt sophomore that has had a series here, a series there in nearly every game this season. The depth of the playbook isn't there, but when you're down 35-7, stick to your strength, and your strength is the run game for the Cyclones, over 100 yards in that first half.
Well, Paul Rhodes has high hopes for Joel Lanning. He told us as much when we talked to him earlier this week. He said that they're extending the package every week that they have for Lanning, and here he is on a keeper. Takes a hard hit. Trayvon Blanchard brought him down, maybe a half-yard shy of a first down, so it will be second down and a foot. But he did talk about the physical skill set that Lanning has compared to Sam Richardson. And Richardson really, Brock, has experience as his calling card and advantage over Lanning, but just in terms of natural ability, he thinks Lanning's got a future. And they pick up a first down on the run by Mike Warren. And an extra effort by Mike Warren as he emerges from the pile. And a pile that won't stop till he gets out to about the 43-yard line.
And we may just be seeing the emergence of Lanning. And unfortunately, if you're Sam Richardson and you're a veteran guy, you made the rookie mistakes today. You threw a couple really bad interceptions. You could have thrown a couple other behind on an out route and a go route. You opened the door for Lanning to take this job. And he's going to have 30 minutes here to tell this coaching staff, this should be my job the rest of the season.
A yard and a half for Warren. And for the head coach, who is on the verge of going 31-51 now in his 7th year. And Paul Rhodes only has one above 500 season at Iowa State. And it was his first year. 3 bowl games in his first 4 years, but no bowls his last couple. And now you start to get to the point where why not? I mean, he's in a position where why not go to an unproven quarterback that might catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, the double overtime loss to Toledo was a heartbreaker for Paul this season. Wanting more from Sam, his 5th-year senior, more consistency has cost them in some games as well. And yeah, you got a youngster, a running back, you got a redshirt sophomore that can not only run him, but how about that throw? Big time throw to Bundridge down the field. And maybe time to start looking at your future very seriously. And if you're Joel Lanning, this is your chance at halftime. And I'm sure Mangino told him, this is your game. You know, you go out and prove to us that's a nice throw. Big time throw on an in cut to Bundridge.
Almost the definition of throwing your wide receiver open, as Bundridge was covered up, but he threw it to the open area of the field. So a gain of 30. Back to the ground. Mike Warren finds room, breaks a tackle. A little pride being shown here by Iowa State. They've got it first down inside the 15-yard line.
You saw those Bears setting the edge in the run game and the run defense for Phil Bennett in that first quarter of play. And right now, and really at the end of the second quarter in this drive, you're watching this defensive line that I think is a pretty proud group. That when Billings is inserted, is a really good front four that right now is getting owned at the point of attack.
Warren again to the 11-yard line for 2. Orion Stewart made the stop for Baylor.
You said it earlier, he is different. He's different. And Iowa State has had Troy Davis, was obviously one of the great backs productivity-wise in college football, and I'm not making that comparison yet. But what Paul has had in his 6 and 7 years and what Warren can bring to the table is a very young guy, is another young piece to build around.
Now it's Joshua Thomas right up the middle, reaching for the goal line. Is he in? They will mark him down inside the 1. First and goal, Iowa State.
That's a really nice job inside by Jamison Locke, really the leader of that group, the 5th-year redshirt senior himself. Good double team with Amoyle, the left guard, the center left guard. They get the push. We've seen Baylor on the other side do that to Iowa State's defensive line, get onto those linebackers. And some pretty big creases here in the third quarter.
And my first thought, and that replay that we just showed on the reach by Joshua Thomas, was this might be worth another look. But you can see knee down and the ball clearly short of the goal line. But in a split-second bang-bang play like that, why not take another look? They may even move the ball a half-yard closer to the goal line than where it is now. Right now they've got the nose of the football at the 1, but it looked like Joshua Thomas got the ball to about the half-yard line before he was down.
This is pride, and you said it coming out here in the second half, and this is a proud veteran offensive line for Iowa State as well. I mean, you have got a bunch of 5th-year seniors playing. Jamison Locke right in the middle of it. Your right tackle Daigle 72, your left guard Amoyle 77.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The runner was short of the goal line. First down, Iowa State.
So it's first and goal for Iowa State. A 7-play drive right out of the locker room. And is this reflective of a coaching staff that is challenging their players a bit in a game that is probably 99% out of reach?
Sure.
But then what does it say to that coaching staff that the players respond?
Yeah, absolutely it is, and it's also challenging your young quarterback. And Mark Mangino has been down this road. You make your own opportunity, and here is your chance to do so. And right now, Baylor cannot stop this run game.
They'll run it with Joshua Thomas, hit behind the line. May have gotten back to the 1. It looks like they'll mark him down at about the 2. Jamal Palmer with a tackle for loss. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
You're also doing this. You're also chewing up a bunch of time here and at least giving your defense an opportunity to minimize possessions.
Right up the middle again. To the 1-yard line goes Joshua Thomas. That'll be 3rd down and goal. Orion Stewart was the first Bear there. Tenth play of the drive. And now a straight up I formation. Thomas lines up as the fullback. Now he's the lone setback. A little bootleg action. Into the end zone. Along the chalk. It's caught for the touchdown. Quentin Bundridge walled his man off. And Ryan Reed couldn't make a play on the ball. And on 3rd and goal, Iowa State caps an 11-play touchdown drive.
And Paul Rhodes likes that, and you can't throw it better than this. And the faces some pressure here. Bundridge does a nice job. He gets that left foot down. And it looks like he's controlling the reception all the way through. The ball is not bobbling. Reed's hoping it is. It's a good drive. You come out. That's a pride. It's more than just a pride drive. I think it's an opportunity drive. And I really hope that Joel Lanning understands the window of opportunity that you do have. You don't know when your number is going to be called. When that 5th-year senior opens the door for you to maybe take hold of this job. It's an excellent drive by Joel Lanning.
And a good job by Quentin Bundridge as well to make a tough catch up along the sideline. He missed all of last season with a torn ACL, but he's got a touchdown today. At 6, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. 14 unanswered points for Iowa State, taking a 35-0 game. And at least breathing a little belief back into that sideline for the Cyclones. And that hurts when your kicker hooks the ball out of bounds. So Cole Netton will give the ball out to the 35-yard line to Baylor.
Free kick out of bounds on the kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. 1st down.
Well, Shannon Spakes down on the field, and Shannon, a little fight shown by Paul Rhodes' team.
Absolutely. You know, Bob, after the halftime break, there wasn't all doom and gloom from Paul Rhodes. Actually, there was some optimism. He told me he really liked the way the guys finished that first half, finished some drives. There was execution. There was effort. That was his focus for his players in this second, and we've seen this early already. As far as Art Briles, he said his focus was to score another 35 points.
Well, he starts off with a short hop here as Seth Russell can't find Corey Coleman, and maybe nothing more positive for Iowa State, Brock, than coming out just being physical to start the second half.
That's right, and establish some of that run game. And I'll take it a step further with Coach Briles to Shannon. Shannon asked him, well, you want to correct some things? What do you mean, correct some things? We're going to score 35 more. We're going to finish the job. He was very to the point and very direct. Work to be done.
A little delay in the backfield as Seth Russell couldn't decide whether to give it to Shock Linwood or hold on to it. And eventually he was pounded down by Jordan Harris. Lost a yard, 3rd and 11.
A nice little edge pressure here. We've seen Jones many times have to handle McGowan, the 400-pounder, and that time the nickel defender off the edge in a critical 3rd and 11.
Too many men on the field for the Iowa State defense. They get the 3rd down stop. Damon Tucker deflects the pass from Seth Russell, but they couldn't run the 12th man off the field fast enough, and the officials caught them.
Illegal substitution. Defense number 35. 5 yards from the previous spot. Replay 3rd down.
Levi Peters tried to get into the game and then tried to get out and couldn't get to the sideline fast enough. So it's still a chance for Iowa State to get a 3rd down stop, but now it's much more manageable 3rd down and 6.
That's a look at Wally Burnham right there, who has to like the snaps here early. You talk about some of that physical intensity offensively translating here early.
Seth Russell, well protected, floats it up the sideline, and Iowa State does get a 3rd down stop. Lynx Hawthorne was the intended receiver. So how about Iowa State? They score a touchdown to start the third quarter. They get a 3-and-out. Now they're about to get the football back for their offense with Brock, a new quarterback that might be feeling it a bit.
A good conversation right here. You can see head coach asking Seth Russell, what are you looking at? Kendall Briles, the offensive coordinator, right in that mix as well. Wondering why he chose to throw the out route with the safety hanging and sitting right on the outside of that. A very rare 3-and-out for the Bears.
Third punt for Drew Galitz. And it's short. Caught on the dead run at about the 28-yard line by Trevor Ryan. So good field position for Iowa State at their own 31-yard line when we return to Waco.
Run away with me.
Take the field to start the game. It's a great way to begin a football game here at McLean Stadium. And now the Baylor Bears are trying to finish against Iowa State, but not doing what Art Briles, Brock Ewart, said that he wanted them to do when he went in at halftime, and that was dominate the second half every bit as much as the first half. Iowa State's got a touchdown on the board. They've got it back, and it's 2nd and 5.
Man, that's 24 plays and 21 runs. There's no magic here. They are just testing the metal right now, that defensive line and that front seven, and running right at them.
It's Mike Warren back in the game to the right of Joel Lanning. He takes the handoff and gets stood up.
That's a pretty good indicator right there of Taylor Young, the middle linebacker, saying that enough is enough. We have been catching many of these blocks, that zone read, and sitting there with our eyes and watching it. And a wonderful job there by Taylor. 5'10", 225 pounds. I think 5'10" being generous, and that time blowing the play right up into the backfield.
Third down and a short 5, close to 4. The last thing Iowa State can afford here is a 3-and-out. Looks like Baylor's playing zero coverage. They have no deep safeties. They bring a blitz, and Lanning down the sideline can't beat it, and he took a hit. Boy, did he get popped by Jamal Palmer. And it is a 3-and-out for Iowa State.
And that's exactly what you do to a young quarterback. You are going to put the pressure on him. I love Phil Bennett. He said, everybody knows I love playing cover zero. I do it probably more than anybody else. But I really want to do it when I have to do it. And I think he's getting a little sense in the field from that sidelines. A good stop on 2nd down by Taylor gives the D coordinator the opportunity to pull that trigger and bring the all-out blitz.
Pretty good punt from Colin Downing. Forces Lynx Hawthorne into a fair catch inside his own 20-yard line. So Baylor gets a defensive stop, and they've got it back.
Ravens, Cardinals at 8:15.
Ohio State still won. Baylor, I think, helping themselves today. Utah, incredible. Incredible. They're number 3, yet not favored tonight against USC. I'm going to have a hunch Mr. Whittingham will use that as motivation.
Shock Linwood bounces it outside, gets to the sideline. Flag down. We'll have to check the penalty marker. Boy, he has used the jump cut to perfection multiple times in this game.
And that'll be a block in the back on Coleman. And we see these receivers at times go to sleep, and we pointed that out schematically early.
Illegal black in the back. Offense number 1. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay 1st down.
And you see this time Coleman seeing and feeling the play coming back at him, but that's an easy call right in the back of Nigel Tribune. And now an Iowa State team, defense, feeling good, better about themselves, force a 3-and-out. Now puts Baylor in a backed up down in distance.
Let's see where they mark the football. It is a spot foul, so in the end it should cost Baylor about 3 yards. I'll make it 2. So it's 1st and 12 for the Bears at their own 16-yard line. They'll run it again. And Linwood with another cutback and another jump cut. Boy, he makes not much into something as he picks up 6 yards, maybe 7, all the way out to the 23-yard line.
Complete running back. And you can see the penalties there. Not an issue once they've gotten into conference play, but a lot of the unforced errors today with 6.
There he goes again. Juking out across the 32 to the 33. Kawan Floyd made the stop.
They really trust this youngster. Well, not a youngster anymore, redshirt junior. Art Briles says he is our coach on the field, that he just gets everybody in the right spot and so comfortable in every phase of the game.
Russell's pass deflected, so it will be 2nd down and 10. But back to Linwood, 5'9", maybe not even. His other offers out of high school, TCU, but Texas, San Antonio, North Texas, and Arkansas State. He comes to Baylor and becomes a star.
And probably going to become the all-time leading rusher when it's said and done. Had about 600-700 yards coming into this game. He's going to get touches if he stays healthy to shatter those records.
Gets stood up just across the 35-yard line by Kawan Floyd. So here's a 3rd down chance again for Iowa State defensively to see if they can get a stop.
The stadium's got quiet. It was electric in that first half, right through the rainfall. A lot of the kids crossed the bridge and headed out. But this offense, or this crowd sitting on their hands waiting for this offense to ignite them again.
Rarely does the play clock go under 10 for Baylor. But it's down to 5 now as Seth Russell calls for the ball. Play action. Slant knocked down at the line. Dale Pearson was able to jump into the passing lane intended for Corey Coleman. And now Iowa State will get the ball back.
How about that? How about back-to-back stops on Kendall Briles? And I think he's sitting here thinking, I don't think I have ever seen as many balls batted down at the line. But give some real credit to Wally Burnham and his crew on the other side, that if you're not going to get home, you hear that taught all the time, have the discipline to get your hands up. Good play there by Pearson, forcing a rarity.
Well, we still have 6.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Flags down. False start called against Baylor.
False start. Offense number 19. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
No, Brock, this will be the 4th punt coming here for the Bears. This will equal the most punts they've had in any game this season, and there's still 6.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. So we're talking about the pride that Iowa State is showing. If they can put another touchdown on the board, they might start to think they're playing for more than pride. Trevor Ryan fields the kick. Stays on his feet. Can he turn the corner? He can, to the 40-yard line. Tiptoes down the sideline and steps out close to the 45. They'll mark him out at the Iowa State 44. A terrific return by Trevor Ryan, and now maybe this is starting to become a game that's on the Baylor defense.
Well, it's going to be on this guy. Sean Oakman needs to step up here, I think, at the point of attack on this defensive line. You saw it early. Tremendous energy from this defense with their 3 takeaways, and you saw Sean just swallow up half of that offensive line. I like the use of his hands today. Nice little swim move and the tackle for loss. This is a time for the big fella, the senior himself, to make an impact. You can see him on the bottom of the offensive line there, bottom of the screen. It creates some negative plays.
Oakman bit the fake, and it was a keeper for Joel Lanning. Grant Campbell was there to bring him down after a gain of 3.
Well, I'll tell you what these back-to-back punts are going to do. They're going to start to challenge some of the statistics and the production that Baylor looks for offensively. Your 0.8 points per play is really going to be in jeopardy the rest of this afternoon if Iowa State continues to minimize possessions. I shorten this game as we're nearing past the halfway point in the 3rd quarter. And the group offensively used to putting up video game numbers. It's off the tracks now here in the 2nd half.
Warren is swallowed up, and let's check in with Zubin.
Bob, the Gus bus has stalled for the most part this year, but not so much for their opponent today. Alex Collins for the Hogs. About that, they've got the lead. You can see it on the SEC Network. Bob, Lanning grew up in the shadows of Iowa State in Ankeny, Iowa.
And unfortunately, Zubin, now he's going to be in the shadows of his own sideline because he lost his helmet on that last play and got his nose bloodied as well. So Lanning, who had this offense moving, now has to go back to the sideline. And here's Sam Richardson back in the game, cold off the bench, looking at 3rd down and 8 after being replaced in the first half. And he's in trouble. And there he is. Oakman, he forced the fumble. And it is recovered by Iowa State. Oni Amoyle jumped on top of it for the Cyclones, but Sean Oakman making an impact play.
You call him out, and he delivers, and once again, it's just the twitchiness right off the ball. He's the first one off. He beats the junior college transfer, Filbert, to the point. No chance there for Richardson. Got to try to secure the ball. But that's what Phil Bennett wants and needs. You pair that kind of effort, that kind of motor, with his buddy who's out next to him, and that's Billings, and you start to make really impactful plays defensively.
That's Onyemoile, and it looked like he might have been cramping up as they are now trying to stretch out his right leg. He recovered the fumble and then was injured after. But Sean Oakman is an impact player, and he has found a new home here at Baylor. He began his career at Penn State, was kicked off the team in 2012. Bill O'Brien, when he first got to Penn State, had a zero-tolerance policy. The players at Penn State had meal cards. Oakman's ran out of money, and he stole a sandwich from the school cafeteria and got caught. So the zero-tolerance policy kicked him out of school. But he had a tough childhood. His father wasn't around. His mother was addicted to crack and spent time in prison. He moved many times, eventually ended up with his mother's cousins. And Ken Roberts, a 30-year Army veteran, and his mother's cousin took him in, instilled that discipline, became the father figure, and helped raise Sean Oakman. And he was the guy that went up to Happy Valley to pick him up when he was kicked out of Bill O'Brien's program. He got a second chance at Baylor, and he has made the most of it. He is a top 10 defensive end on Mel Kiper's big board, headed to the NFL. Links Hawthorne with the fair catch, fields it at the 28-yard line. So Baylor has the football back after a 39-yard punt. 4:47 to go in the third here in Waco.
To get to you, they'd have to get past us. America's Navy.
Spend a little, say a lot. DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse.
Tonight on ESPN, another great matchup. College football primetime presented by Hilton begins our doubleheader in the SEC with Texas A&M and Ole Miss in Oxford. And then at 10:30, we head to Palo Alto for number 10 Stanford, on a roll since losing to Northwestern opening weekend. Tonight, their challenge, Washington. Both games are on ESPN, also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
You're going to watch McCaffrey tonight, one of the more dynamic players in college football for the Cardinal.
Shock Linwood starts off this drive up the middle for 5 out to the 34-yard line for Baylor.
I'll tell you this, Mr. Wischusen, you have tests in a run to a championship, and that is what Baylor feels they are on. And while you may not be tested in a win-loss column here over the next 20 minutes, this tests your mentality to finish. This is a drive. If you're Seth Russell and you're Baylor and you want to be a championship team, there's kind of a malaise right now. You feel the rain, the sprinkles, lots of crowd is left. You know, there's not the buzz and the energy, but if you're Corey Coleman, if you're Seth Russell, if you're Shock Linwood, this is when you're on the sideline saying, you know what, guys, 2 punts, enough's enough. Let's go put in this game really out of hand and finish it.
Linwood to the 42-yard line. A gain of a yard, maybe 2. Brian Mills came up and made the stop, but that illustrates how good this offense can be. 2 punts and enough is enough.
That's exactly right.
But it is a deflated atmosphere right now at Baylor. This is not the home crowd energy that they're used to, and it seems to be reflected in a little bit of a malaise for the Bears in the second half.
Well, and you don't see this much, and this is some check with me. You saw it on the previous third down. Some of this is also probably reflective of these game conditions and knowing you have the game in hand. But finish.
Go route for Coleman. Incomplete. Jamal Wiltz was there in coverage. The crowd, especially that student section, looking for a flag. But it will be 3rd down and 8.
And you can see Wiltz there favoring his shoulder a little bit. Coleman
for one play.
Coleman doing his best to try to draw that penalty, but I think that's pretty good effort. And this has been tremendous effort by the Cyclone defense. And trying to force now a third consecutive punt from an outfit that's averaged 720 and 63 points a game.
Well, it's a team that hadn't punted more than 4 times in any game so far this season. If Iowa State gets a stop here, 3 straight punts and a flag down. Now the crowd's starting to get a little antsy with their Baylor offense. Maybe more antsy with the officiating crew.
False start. Offense number 8 was never set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Yeah, and that's the right call right there. And Zamora just a little bit late. Just that attention to detail. It's going to close out the first half that you saw with some of the penalties in Iowa State. Running the ball right at you, and kind of continued here through the 3rd quarter.
I got to try and run for it with Linwood. They won't get it. Kawan Floyd read it, came up and made the one-on-one tackle and took down Shock Linwood. And Iowa State has forced a 3rd consecutive punt to start off the second half for Baylor.
Well, I'll use Coach Brown's words to Shannon at halftime. What do you want to see? You weren't real happy, or we weren't terribly pleased by their finish of a dropped touchdown pass, a dropped field goal, a couple penalties, Iowa State going up and down the field. And he said, what are you talking about? We're up 35-7, total control, total dominant game. Want 34 more in the second half. Well, you got 0 now through 3 possessions.
Fair catch at the 22 for Drew Galis's punt by Trevor Ryan. You know, this is a national championship hopeful season for Baylor. They at least want to be in the college football playoff and have that opportunity. They missed out last year. National television today. Not a conference that has a championship game where you can get that extra signature win at the end of the season. Do style points matter when you're on this stage for Baylor?
Art's going to tell you absolutely positively no.
Okay.
That we do what we do and we want to execute at the highest level. I think what matters is execution. I think he's looking at his quarterback right now and looking at the line and saying, come on guys, where is it? You know, I said earlier throughout this game, you can't be right defensively. It's a numbers game, and Baylor has done such a dominant job of that, not for 1 season, for 3 seasons.
Wide open, the tight end, Ben Bozen. Out to the 44-yard line. Check that. That is Justin Chandler. It's a gain of 19 yards.
But to the playoff committee that's going to meet here in Dallas in a couple weeks, is they're going to watch this game and they're going to see it, and they're going to see the accelerator maybe stepped off in the second half. Will they make absolute mention and put that in their notebook as they debate these teams, and especially as many at the top right now that are vying for those votes in those places? Yeah, that's where those style points and conversations really come into play.
There's a lot of work to do for Iowa State to actually make you believe they could win this game. We probably can't talk in those terms until they make it a 1-possession game. But Baylor, they're not often held scoreless for even a quarter, much less coming out of halftime the way they have been so far here in the 3rd by Iowa State. So you wonder how moments like this and games like this factor in that room when they debate. As Warren reaches back, makes a terrific catch, and what balance to take that hit, stay on his feet, and get close to a first down.
Nice job by Lanning to get to his outlet. Can't do it much better than that. And I was showing you on tape yesterday, Mr. Blanchard, sure love to see him wrap up a little bit more fundamentally. The youngster not just throw his shoulder out there, but the even younger player, the redshirt freshman, breaks it. It's a first down for the Cyclones.
Warren submarines to the 45-yard line for 4 yards. Bo Blackshear made the stop for Baylor. Baylor so far in the 3rd quarter offensively has 43 yards and 3 punts on 3 possessions. They had over 300 yards in the first half. Here's Warren. driven down at the 42-yard line by Blanchard. That time he wrapped up.
He sure did, and he had some of his buddies running down the line with him. I like that motor. That's what you need to see out of Oatman, that engine firing. And you can see it coming right at you, and Blanchard this time gets his pads down. That is the kind of fundamental technique that's coached, that's taught, and that's driven home as he drives Warren into the ground.
And that will take us to the end of the third quarter. Can Iowa State make it a game in the fourth quarter? At the 0 in the third quarter for Baylor. Only the second time this season Baylor has been outscored in a quarter, and they drop off the cliff offensively in the third quarter. Only 43 yards and 3 punts. We start the fourth quarter with Iowa State trying to keep a drive alive on third down. And they will keep that drive alive. A strike to Jawan Wesley from Joel Lanning. Chance Waz made the stop. That's a 5-yard gain and a Cyclone first down.
It's a good job by Mark Mangino. A little chess match here. 2 veteran coordinators. You know that I love that. I always enjoy watching those guys just match their personnel and play calling. That time Mangino expecting an extra blitzer. He got it. And his youngster Lanning read it out, went inside out, and got the completion.
They fake the jet sweep. Breaking a tackle is Lanning. Breaking another tackle to the 30-yard line for 7. And you start to see a little more spirit and belief over on that Iowa State sideline. If they walk down and get a touchdown here and make it a 2-possession game, well, they really might, with the momentum their defense built in the third quarter, start to believe.
Yeah, I think outside of making this a real competitive or much more competitive game, more than anything, they found the quarterback. This kid is going to be under center the next 6 weeks.
Mike Warren, very delayed on the read option, picks up 2.5. Avion Edwards on the tackle. Another third down coming, and what you have to think is now 4-down territory. So 2 chances to get this yard.
Probably feels like cover 0 time. That blitz of using it when you really need it. I think an opportunity here to really set the tone for Phil Bennett defensively.
Lanning tries to do it himself. Second effort. Short. Taylor Young brought him down. Now it's 4th down and 1.
And that was your blitz. That is no longer sitting on my heels, letting guys run through my tackles. This is coming right at you. And sometimes there's advantages to being low to the ground. I think of Sam Mills playing a middle linebacker position. And sometimes you can get a little bit lost between the tackles there. Taylor Young at his best when he's moving downhill.
Warren brought down. Where will they mark the football? The official running in from the sideline looks like they have given Baylor a 4th down stop. Trayvon Blanchard, Avion Edwards were there on the tackle. Initially, you saw hands pointed forward for Iowa State. They thought they picked it up, but it certainly doesn't appear so where they've marked the ball.
Yeah, I think he's going to be short. Good penetration there from Palmer, and a nice job by Blanchard. He missed the tackle earlier. He got an earful from his defensive coordinator, and that time with the early penetration from Palmer, Blanchard coming right in behind, finished the tackle.
You don't even need to measure. I'm not even sure why they're bringing the chains out. He's a full yard shy of the first down. Needed to get down to the 27-yard line. They have him marked down at the 28. So I guess they'll bring the chains out just to make it official, but this is not close. So Baylor will get a 4th down stop, and their defense creates a turnover on downs and takes the momentum back.
Now that's a mindset. That's no longer just sitting in zone, trying to keep everything in front of me. It's finally pulling the trigger a little bit, which you expect to see now from a Baylor offense shut out in that third quarter.
And we talked to Phil Bennett, the defensive coordinator for Baylor. He doesn't mind at all the fact that people take shots at his defense. They play in this big ball. The Brazos River, it can be tough unless you've got a different technique. What's wrong with all those guys in the background? You'd think they'd look at that guy and say, ah, that's how you move quickly down the river.
To expend some energy. It kind of looked like Baylor's offense, that little duck there in the third quarter. 3 punts, got nothing going. I think Art Browse and crew and Kendall Browse, play caller, want to see that kind of energy go in the right direction. Starts here.
And it starts with the ground game. Shock Linwood gets a block on the edge. That's Corey Coleman sealing out on the edge and allowing Linwood to pick up an extra 7 or 8 yards to the 44.
And a nice job here, Corey, seeing the action in front of him. Had the block in the back earlier, and this time actually gets his head across and frees up Linwood for another 10.
It's a Baylor offense that averages 349 yards a game rushing. As they find a quick hitter here with Chris Platt. They are number 2 in America running the football to go along with being number 1 in America throwing the football. So Art Briles still believes, doesn't he, that the run game is as much the foundation of this offense as anything.
And it has to be. If they're going to get to the places that they want to get over the course of a season.
Losing the football, though, is Johnny Jefferson. A giveaway by Baylor at midfield. Dale Pearson knocked it out. And Iowa State gets a turnover. Nigel Tribune recovers it. And just like that, Iowa State has the football back with great field position.
How about that 4th down stop? How huge that was for Baylor's defense. And Pearson's been sneaky all afternoon. Had a nice little tackle for loss on the 3rd down early. He's batted a couple passes. He's using his hands. He's getting free from the big fellas up front. And Dale's been very active. Probably no surprise. Pearson, the most active player on that Iowa State defensive line. And Jefferson knows, well, that's another missed possession. There's not many of them, but 4 in a row, no points for the Bears.
If you're Iowa State, you must take this giveaway by Baylor and turn it into 7. To have any hope in this game, it feels like a must drive. And Lanning looking for the big play down the sideline, threw it behind his intended receiver, Trevor Ryan, but Ryan made a great adjustment to the ball and a sliding catch for a gain of 13.
He sure did. I like that call, too, from Mr. Mangino. A little play pass. You come out. You've got your shot down the field. You also have a very safe wheel route. That ball's shown a little bit better. Ryan's got another 10 or 15 yards in front of him, as is, once again, crossing the 50 and in Baylor territory.
Now the official stopping play. Will they go to review to make sure that Ryan caught the football?
Ruling on the field is a completed forward pass. That ruling is under further review.
It was a tough catch for Trevor Ryan. The former walk-on was just put on scholarship back in September. Ruled a catch on the field. We take another look. Hard to argue.
It's a heck of a slide, too. About 16 feet on the slide. He slid a good 4 yards. From those 2 shots, it's all about that left arm, and as it get underneath the pass, and you can see how poorly that ball was thrown by Lanning. The opportunity there, if he gives Ryan, his best pass-catching running back, an opportunity to catch and run.
Again, it has to be indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field, so you have to see the ball not only hit the ground, but maybe alter and move when it does. You think Ryan's got enough control to say that the ruling on the field at least should stand?
Well, this is, I think, the other 2 are going to block you in here. The big offensive lineman, Taese's left side, is also going to block just a little bit, but it looks like that ball may have hit the ground, that left arm, not underneath it as it's moving. I think that is going to be your cleanest look, and once again, has to be without any dispute.
It was ruled a catch on the field and a 13-yard gain and a first down for Paul Rhodes' team. And this is our longest review of the day by far, so they're really trying to make sure about the ruling, and here is the final decision.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Completed pass.
And I think when you hear stands, because those 3 shots that we have, none of them, I think, clear. That is the right call. If you can't, without dispute, turn it around and change that call, you let it stand.
.5 minutes to go. Can Iowa State make this a 2-possession game with plenty of time left? The answer at the end of this drive. Mike Warren moving the pile, which continues inside the 35, close to a first down.
There's no quitting Mike Warren, and I will tell you, every time that Baylor sits in that zone, they love their little quarter half defense and two safeties trying to keep everything in front. When they have done that, it's been advantage Iowa State. Been 3-5, in that case 10 yards on first down. It's when they have been in those pressure downs, pressure situations, that they've been in attack mode. It's really been the way and the only way they've stymied this offense here in the second half.
Mike Warren's up to 100 yards. Play fake for Lanning. Slips it to the sideline. It's another catch for Trevor Ryan. Brought down by Orion Stewart. But a gain of close to 8 down near the Baylor 25-yard line.
Here you pick up your pace just a little bit. You don't have to be in full 2-minute mode. And remember, the playbook for Lanning not nearly as in depth as it's going to be for the redshirt senior Richardson. But pick your pace up just enough. Feels like a play pass opportunity.
Instead, it's a handoff. Close to a first down is Mike Warren. Let's see where they mark the football. Looks like he might have it. Mike Warren in high school was a 4th-string running back as a high school junior. As a senior, finally got a chance to play and set school records for rushing with 2,500 yards, 26 touchdowns. He was recruited by Toledo, but developed a really good relationship with Louis Ayeni, the running back coach at the time at Toledo, who then went to Iowa State. And that relationship brought Mike Warren to Ames.
He's got over 100 yards yet again.
For the 4th time this season. There he goes again. Flag down as he gets inside the 20-yard line.
And that's going to be Oakman, I believe, drawing the holding call with his early penetration.
Holding. Offense number 78. 10 yards from the previous spot. Replay first down.
Tomorrow it's NFL Insiders. On Sunday with the latest injury news, early breaking stories at 10 a.m. followed by Sunday NFL Countdown. Boomer and the boys provide in-depth analysis for every game. It all starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. on ESPN, also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
Doesn't show up on the stat sheet there as a tackle for loss or sack or even quarterback hurry, but that was all Sean Oakman. Once again, the early penetration, but in the Iowa State Cyclones off schedule.
Only their 3rd penalty. There goes Ryan in motion again. Play fake for Lanning. Down the sideline, he's got a man wide open. The sophomore Jawan Wesley got loose. He's got a first down at the 11.
Well, that's a good job by Mark Mangino finding a little concept here where you're going to challenge the field players, field corner and field safety, and you're going to see him sneak out into a wheel route. Should look, Bob, a little bit like West Virginia, where West Virginia early in the game in the first quarter, similar concept. Right, I'm going to run that safety off. I'm going to force that nickel defender, that time Blanchard, to make a decision, and the wheel route comes right behind.
Right up the middle, breaking tackles to the 5-yard line is Joshua Thomas. A late flag is thrown.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 5 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
It's 1st and goal, Iowa State at the 3 with Grant Campbell picking up the face mask personal foul.
How about just driving it right down your throat, overcoming 1st and 20, running at will, 100-yard rusher. And Paul Rhodes' crew here out of Ames, Iowa, showing you they are not going to back down, and Mr. Joel Lanning, the quarterback, giving them some spark.
Thomas lost his footing, and he was swallowed up by Oakman. It'll be 2nd down and goal inside the 4. And now, should there be a little more of a sense of urgency for Iowa State? It's a lot of time coming off the clock. You score here, you're still down 2 touchdowns.
Yes, but you have to communicate here because you've got a kid that has been in some of these situations, but certainly not all of them this year. In Joel Lanning, make sure you get to what he's comfortable with in these moments.
5-man rush. He's well protected. To the back pylon. Caught. Touchdown. It's Wesley again. Did he get a foot down? The officials say yes.
And I think he did. You're going to see a right foot ball thrown a little bit late here, but thrown to the perfect spot in the back pylon. Watch the right foot. Right there. I think he gets, Wesley does, that right foot down. The true sophomore having awareness of where he is on the field. That foot is in. He secures the catch.
You know, we talked to Mark Mangino about Juwan Wesley earlier this week, and he had one of the great quotes I think we've heard this year from any offensive coordinator. He said last year he was a true freshman. He didn't have a clue. He basically tried to find green grass and go stand on it. And now a muffed extra point. Austin Fisher, they're trying to maybe go for two with a flag down. I'm not sure what a two-point conversion does for you here.
Offside. Defense number 9. Unabated to the quarterback. That penalty is declined. Try.
Let's see if they get fancy again with their play calling, or if they just kick the extra point and make it a 14-point game. Here's Cole Netton again. And this time he'll hook the point left. Maybe that's why they went for 2. So Netton misses the point after, and it's a 15-point game. Still a 2-possession lead for Baylor. But special teams costs Iowa State.
Who does this kind of thing on?
Tense going to class as he does on the football field. He is just strolling through life. Although his team having a little bit of a scare put into this game from Iowa State. It's now a 2-possession lead, 7:47 to go, and here's an onside kick. The surprise onside kick goes out of bounds and doesn't go 10 yards.
Well, Cole Netton's having a tough day. He's hooked the ball out of bounds on a kickoff, and you can see it all there with Paul Rhodes, and they're doing the best they can. But this guy is stuck right now in his own head.
Free kick out of bounds on a kicking team. 5 yards will be added to the spot where the ball went out of bounds. First down.
Been really good in his career, but he, like some of these kickers, and you see them, they just get into their own headspace. You miss a PAT, you hook one out of bounds. That onside kick, you just do not give your team a chance. Unfortunately for the redshirt junior, he has got to figure it out more than anywhere between his ears.
So now a defense that has not given up a point in the second half to Baylor just about has to have a 3 and out. And Shock Linwood is brought down after a gain of 2. Let's check in with Zubin.
Bob, it's been a couple rough weeks for Northwestern, but Clayton Thorson trying to do something about it, putting this in the air against the Black Shirts. Literally, they've got the lead in Lincoln. It's on ESPN2. Gentlemen, back to you.
Well, Zubin's 2nd down and 8 now for Baylor. Play action and a slant. And the catch is made down to the 26-yard line by Corey Coleman. And that's good for a Baylor first down.
And you see him toss a hand warmer. I think he should just be done with that hand warmer. I think it just caused him as many issues today as any hand warmer I've ever watched in college football.
Shock Linwood cuts it back to the 21. Darius White brought down Linwood, but not before he picked up 6. Linwood again. This time he's brought down right at the line of scrimmage. It will be 3rd down and 6. Darius White with penetration again.
And there's their all-out blitz. There's their cover 0 look that's saying, I'm not going to give in. And Wally Burnham has to be incredibly pleased. No matter what the outcome of this game, their goal was under 50 to get a few stops. They've gotten multiple takeaways. They have forced 4+ punts. They have done their job defensively and continue to play with more effort than what Baylor's expressing offensively.
3rd down and 5, a keeper for Russell. He is met. Let's see where they spot the football. Forward progress, Jamal Wiltz. First contact for Iowa State. It looks like he's short. So now it's 4th down and 1 at the 17. Baylor's 2 for 2 on 4th down today. If they go for it and fail, it's still a 2-possession game with 5:50 to go, and there would be time for Iowa State. If they kick a field goal here, they'd make it a 3-score lead.
And now I think he's going to run this clock all the way down, and he's going to take that timeout, going to think about it, and I'd be shocked if Art Briles doesn't go for it on 4th down when we come back.
So the timeout will be called by Art Briles, and we'll find out what he decides when we return. Stanford on ESPN and streaming live on Watch ESPN as well.
Well, I'm shocked, and I was wrong, because the mindset around here is we don't really care what the book says. We do what we do. This is conventional wisdom. This is the right play. But surprise, this is what you're settling for here at 4th and 1.
34 yards away for Chris Callahan, who's 4 for 5 this season, and he is now 5 for 6. That's right down the middle. That is playing it by the book. Yep. That is making it a 3-score game with 5:31 to go. Doctors and trainers on the Baylor sideline is the quarterback, Seth Russell.
And this was a 3rd down, and this may have led to that 4th down decision. He takes a good helmet-to-helmet shot there. Pretty clean as both players are making a football move from Jamal Wiltz, the corner there. And you can see he's just trying to kind of shake it out before the timeout, and then ultimately they go for the field goal. A little bit out of their just conventional play of going for it. And a lot of attention paid to Mr. Russell there on the sidelines over the last 5 minutes.
A pooch kick from Spencer Evans, giving up some field position to the 33-yard line as we check in with Zubin.
Bob, coming up, after you guys are done, Christian Hackenberg and Penn State off that loss to Ohio State. They'll take on Maryland in College Park. It'll be the debut of the Mike Locksley era there after Randy Edsall was dismissed in just over 20 minutes. Back to you.
Well, we've got 5.5 minutes left in our game, but now Iowa State finds themselves down by 3 scores. As Baylor leads 38-20. A very unimpressive second half for Baylor offensively, but their defense, Brock, has made some plays.
They have. They're trying to limit the big play, and they're going to continue to do so over the final 5.5.
Here's a jet sweep to the 34-yard line to Trevor Ryan. Trayvon Blanchard made the stop. We were talking about style points, and I mean, Baylor shouldn't apologize in any way for winning a conference game and winning it by 3 scores. How many times this season have you come away from an Ohio State game saying, well, they didn't really rack up any style points today, and yet Ohio State has never dropped out of the AP poll #1 spot?
Yep.
We'll find out when the first college football playoff standings are released. And a drop now from Trevor Ryan, and that is right on the doorstep of taking us now through November up towards the college football playoff being announced.
Yeah, I'll use Art's words at halftime to Shannon when she caught up with him going into halftime and said, well, what do you think? You know, not real clean at the end of that second quarter. He said, what do you mean? We scored 35. We're going to score 35 more. Well, you've been outscored 13-3 in the second half. And Ohio State, in many of those games, you're right, they kind of plodded along, didn't play well, but they typically finish strong. Not every one of them, but a majority of those, they stepped on it when it mattered the most. And that's not necessarily been the case here in the second half for Baylor. Just 3 points for an offense that has averaged 63.
Have to take a timeout. That's a bad timeout for Iowa State with the clock stopped with 4:48 to go. Unable to get their act together. So they use a timeout with the clock stopped. They need all 3 if they ever hope to pull off the miracle. And let's remind you what we are on the verge of getting into, and that is the real debate. The college football playoff rankings will first be released on November 3rd. Of course, December 6th is Selection Day, and then we will have the 2 semifinals this year on New Year's Eve. The Capital One Orange Bowl and the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic will bring us our championship game in Glendale on January 11th. But the AP poll, which we refer to every week, that's just an educated guess.
Sure.
It factors in, I'm sure, to the conversations that the committee will have, but right now, we're on the verge of getting the poll out that matters, and that is the college football playoff rankings.
Not really, Bob. That AP poll is, we went through that mock playoff. There was no look at polls of what did the coaches poll or the AP poll. That's those 12 men and women in that room making the decision of who they think has played the best ball.
3rd down and 8. Lanning has it stripped away. It's loose, and it looks like it was recovered by K.J. Smith. Jamal Palmer got the strip sack for Baylor. And K.J. Smith recovers it for the Bears.
And that was just tremendous reaction there from Palmer off the ball. Look at that. He's anticipating the count. He's in the backfield. He's right by Campos, right into the lap of Lanning. And that will be one of the challenges for Iowa State here. I think this will be Lanning's team. I'll be curious what Paul Rhodes has to say post-game if he completely hands it to him. But they are a group with Lanning that's going to have to run the ball. and cannot get necessarily put into predictable situations where the Jamal Palmers of this conference can pin their ears back, get off early on that count, and along with KJ finishing the deal. And yeah, you see Seth Russell, he's done for the afternoon.
So it's the true freshman Jarrett Stidham that is in at quarterback, and he'll run the option with Chafin, and Devin Chafin goes right up the middle. And let's see when Iowa State, if they should choose to use their 2 timeouts, when they'll use them, and circle the play clock for a reason?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a time you have your true freshmen utilize just about every second of that. You get out of this game, it's wet, it's nasty conditions, your quarterback has now been knocked out of it. Your real tough stretch of this season's going to begin, starting in Manhattan next week. But the boys from Norman in town here. You're going to go to Stillwater at TCU.
Stidham had a problem with a high snap. Did well not only to hold on to it, but to muscle his way within 2 yards of a first down. He went out of bounds, so that stopped the clock for the moment. Darian Cotton bumped him out, but here is the remaining schedule for Baylor. And obviously you've got 3 ranked teams in a row that before that finale against Texas will determine their season.
And they're going to have to play a little better ball than they did today. I mean defensively they did some nice things, but matchup wise this was favorable. Cyclones without their best receiver, remember that as well. Lazard is out of this game. I think our Browse and crew know there's plenty to clean up coming out of this. And they're going to have to continue to progress by the end of the season.
Chafin picks up the first down.
Well, you walk away more impressed. I'll tell you what, I sat all week and broke down this tape, and we sat in there yesterday. And I think absolutely this is one of the 4 best teams in college football. But I will say, just some of their ability to finish, some of their effort in that third quarter, their attention to detail has got to be sharper when the competition strengthens.
Stidham is brought down behind the line. Well, we've had this conversation multiple times this season when we saw, at least in the first half, Florida State struggle with USF, struggle with Louisville. We saw LSU have a tough time on the road with Syracuse. Today, Baylor not looking like themselves in the second half against Iowa State. But in all of those games, the conversation we seem to get back to was championship teams, when they go through a 12-game season, are not going to look the same every week.
Especially at this level.
And a championship team, if they win when they're not at their best, that's part of being a team that can win a title.
And it's part of being 18-22. It's part of that human psychology.
Stidham on a rollout. Extending the play. Flips it into the end zone, and there is a touchdown for Corey Coleman. So there are some style points for Baylor.
Russell approves. And Stidham, by the way, now 6 touchdowns, no interceptions for the true freshman on the year. But it's also, as I said, psychology. This stadium empties out. You could feel the energy really leave this place. There wasn't a real tremendous threat of losing this game. Nice job by Stidham. Attracting the defenders, looking like he's going to run, showing the awareness of what's going on around him. And puts another touchdown in the ledger for Corey Coleman.
18 touchdown receptions this season now for Corey Coleman, who Art Briles told us is a different cat. He is not happy unless he's mad. And he plays like it. He is a tough wide receiver. And if he keeps his current pace rolling, he'll set a new Big 12 record for most touchdown receptions in a season. Only 7 shy now of Stedman Bailey's 2012 record of 25 touchdown receptions. Tonight at 8 on ABC. Saturday Night Football presented by Walmart. JT Barrett takes back over for #1 Ohio State when they meet Rutgers. It's Ohio State-Rutgers at 8 on ABC. Also streaming live tonight on Watch ESPN. And a player that maybe deserves to be even more so in the conversation for the Heisman Trophy. A bit of a dark horse behind Leonard Fournette and some of the guys we've seen this season. Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, Nick Chubb was off to such a great start. Leonard Fournette has been one of the main stories and attractions in all of college football. Coleman's stats as giddy as any of them.
We saw Dalvin
as any of them.
We saw Dalvin Cook a couple of times.
That's right. Dalvin Cook is an absolute stud. Dana Holgorsen said Coleman was the best player in college football. After that game, he said, you can put it. I'm not just saying this talking out of school or trying to create a headline. Dana's been around a lot of good ones. Had Kevin White last year. He loves Cody Coleman's game. I get the sense that the Ezekiel Elliott's and the rest of that team was just waiting for Barrett to get his chance. I think you stand by your head coach. Obviously, Urban Meyer's track record speaks for itself. They won a national title a year ago. I bet you see a different Buckeye team tonight.
Jamal Wills lit up at the 22-yard line as we go back to Zubin.
Bob, Pittsburgh's only loss this year came on a field goal with no time remaining. How about turnabout is fair play, 24 yards out. Chris Blewett didn't. Pittsburgh 23-20 over the Orange. Coming up on ABC or ESPN2, you know, Mark D'Antonio's never lost to Indiana as Michigan State's head coach. When you got guys like Connor Cook under center, you can see why. Kickoff 12 and a half minutes away. Guys, back to you.
That's a good line. Chris Blewett didn't. That's, you know, probably our better last names for a kicker to have. You know, remember Dead Poet Society? Robin Williams, he's talking to the kid with the last name Pitts. Mr. Pitts, rise above your name. Well, Blewett has to do just that, and he did. A game-winning field goal that keeps Pitt as a ranked team. Mike Warren goes right up the middle for 4 yards, and it's an Iowa State team that has some young talent. They've got a redshirt sophomore quarterback now and 2 freshman running backs that Brock seems to be the future of their offense.
Yeah, and they'll have Texas come into town, and they also go to Oklahoma. This Big 12 is fully loaded, but I would be, and I've said this now my 3rd or 4th time, pretty lsurprised if this is not Joel Lanning's team coming out of here.
Up the middle, Warren to the 37-yard line with 90 seconds to go. Well, based on what you've seen, your prep work for Baylor coming into today, and maybe a few check marks against them in the second half. Do you think they run the table? Our ESPN FPI right now puts them at a 28% chance to run the table and finish unbeaten.
Give me Andrew Billings back in the middle of that defensive line. He is their best defensive player. They're going to need him, and they're going to have him, and he's got an ankle injury that he's going to battle back from. But I think they go to Kansas State. They have always matched up well with Oklahoma. We saw Oklahoma State. They don't have near the personnel that Baylor does. They play to their capabilities. They will be undefeated November 27th when they travel up the road, up I-35 to Fort Worth. And that will be it. And what a great rivalry between a couple coaches that have some competitive animosity, I think, to put it nicely.
That is politically put, and well done. As Warren close to a first down with 1 minute to go.
But I don't think it will be easy. I don't think they're just going to roll over everybody. I think they have some challenges in their secondary. Right? I think they've got some size challenges in some spots in the back 7 of that defense. But it will be, if they run the table and they beat TCU, I'm pretty confident in saying this, it will be because their offensive line and their defensive line was better than the rest in the Big 12.
Warren again gets to the sideline, padding his numbers. This redshirt freshman has had moments today where he has looked like a senior. He's now working on a big day, has not scored, but that will put him at 28 carries and close to 140 yards rushing. Actually 145 yards on the day for Mike Warren.
And he climbs up over 850 yards now on the season. You're looking at a 1,000-yard back. You're looking at another big freshman bruiser that scores the touchdowns, a redshirt sophomore quarterback. You're without Lazard, your best wide receiver on this team. A couple more pieces for Paul Rhodes. Their overall record may not indicate 2-10 a season ago, sitting here at 2-5, a tough schedule also remaining, but more pieces in place than they've had the last couple years.
Lanning takes a shot at the end zone, broken up. Well played by Orion Stewart, timed it perfectly and knocked it away from DeVario Montgomery, who has been quiet today.
Good timing.
Long throw, and it short hops to Bundridge as a blitz came, and KJ Smith got pressure on Joel Lanning, so now it is 4th down with 23 seconds to go. If you're Art Briles at the end of today's game, do you focus more on what you didn't get done in the second half? Or do you focus more on the fact that your defense took the ball away, got some stops, and after this fourth down play, you're on the verge of capping a win? Although you're giving up a fourth down conversion on the catch and run by Bundridge. Inside the 10, breaking tackles. How about the effort of Bundridge? That's a touchdown. Maybe that changes the answer for Art Briles to that question.
And that puts them up over their scoring average, giving up 24 a game. That's a bunch of missed tackles. I think Art Briles is ready to get out of here. I think I felt some of that temperament at halftime as well. But that's an excellent throw. That's a catch and run. Bundridge shows you why he scored 9 touchdowns 2 years ago before tearing a knee last year, and that's missed tackle, missed tackle, missed tackle. And that's a little bit reflective of this second half for Art, where offensively you scored just 10 points. You have a bunch of punts. And defensively, when you had opportunities also to just completely close it out, he gave Iowa State a little bit of life.
He put some kind of move in the open field on Xavier Howard. And that's 3 touchdown passes now thrown by Joel Lanning. A 12 for 17, 144-yard effort after taking over for Sam Richardson.
Stop the bleeding. Paul Rhodes wanted to hold the Bears under 50 points. He wanted to get some stops. He wanted to get a couple takeaways. I don't think he came into this game thinking he was going to find his quarterback. But I think he leaves here knowing it. And you see the shot to the face earlier. And as I said, they call that in boxing when you stuff that nose there to stop the bleeding.
I think he called putting something in your nose to stop the bleeding.
Well, I was looking for a little more technical term.
Looks like a hockey player. So 10 seconds to go. And let's see if Baylor deploys their hands team. I'm not sure if Iowa State at this point would try an onside kick just to get their offense one more chance to throw a Hail Mary. So here's Cole Netton. And what once again is an 18-point game. And he will just squib it. And it is fielded on a hop at about the 36-yard line by Andrew Morris. So 7 seconds to go, and now probably nothing more than Jarrett Stidham going out and taking a knee, and it will be a 7-0 start for Baylor and a 4-0 start in the Big 12. Baylor has only been 4-0 one other time in their history in the Big 12, and that was 2013 when they won their first Big 12 championship and went to a BCS bowl game.
This will be a big story this week in Waco, Texas. Seth Russell, and I'm sure the concussion protocol that he is going to have to go through, took a shot to the head as he scrambled late in this game, has not returned. His availability in Manhattan, Kansas, or is a true freshman going to be under center for Art Briles? And you never rest. It's week to week, in the sport where weekly it's most important to get it done. You see the thumbs up, you get the win. Still more to be done here in Baylor.
Baylor wins it 45-27. Penn State and Maryland's coming up. For Brock and Shannon, I'm Bob Wischusen.